What's good, y'all? It's your boy Danza. Just one of the many faces of the machine known as the Danza Project. Please do me a favor if you rock with us. Hit that like button, subscribe button, and turn those notifications on. We appreciate you. Salute. I got plans to put my hands in places I never seen, girl, you know what I mean. Let me take you to a podcast nice and quiet. There ain't no one there to interrupt. Neo, what's up?
Yo, what up?
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, you were spitting before we even started. That shit was fire, bro.
Yeah,
You should have left. You should have had that in this live right here.
No,
I can't
do that for them. Like now, I'm trying to be a professional.
It was that good though.
Was it? You think
it was
so?
that good. Yeah,
I'm just rapping.
You hit every. There's only one bar that you couldn't think of a word.
Yeah.
Well, you went for like 35 minutes hitting every bar with perfect rhymes and hitting all the middle spots and shit.
I just learned to talk nonsense on like and keep going. You know what I mean? If it sounds like nonsense, keep going with the nonsense. It'll turn into something. It'll
Don't
make
even
sense.
think about it.
You know, Orlando, could you turn my headphones down a little bit? Because I had it super loud when I was listening to the beats. Up higher, up higher, up higher, up higher, up higher. Lower, 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 lower. Right there is good. Yep, right there. No, a little bit higher than that.
We had a late night.
Yeah.
Late night live.
It's a late night live. And let's get these chats up there because we haven't been live. We're live.
Oh, we're going live?
We are going live.
I just went live on my channel.
Hello.
Yeah.
But what I did was I just directed everyone to here.
Fire.
So anyone that joins my live will come here.
So what they don't know, right? I need it down a little bit more now. We gotta get this thing right. Yeah. All right, let's get this set up. So now a little bit louder. This is hard. Like you're moving it a lot over there. You're just lower.
I gotta say, I'm impressed by this professional.
Yeah. You know what it is we spent some time in San Francisco this week. Shout out to Lou Russell. And then we were supposed to go to Toronto, which Kato was very upset about. I'm very upset about.
Yeah, you said that.
And we ended up in Buffalo. We got a dope interview out in Buffalo, you know.
Isn't it crazy how close Buffalo is to Toronto, but it feels so distant because it's Canada and the US?
Yeah. I think the reason it feels so distant is because back home, everything is so close.
Right.
Like, and then I moved out here and it's like an hour drive to go get my goddamn haircut.
Right.
You know,
and there's like 20 cities in Florida, 20 big cities in Florida.
Yeah.
Like every 2 hours is another city.
But so what the people don't know is my first podcast ever you invited me to.
Yes.
And we did
This
Zoom.
was not even that long ago in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
A little over 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I wasn't even serious about this stuff. Neither were you.
Yeah.
I was doing fun Facebook lives for my friends. And I wanted you to come on because you're a shit talker. I'm a shit talker. We like to shit talk. And then it was a pretty, we had a good time or whatever. We both ended up going different directions, but now we're both doing this full time, fully monetized, sponsored, all that shit.
Let's go.
Who would have thought that would have happened? If you would have told me 3 years ago, after you and I had a little messing around on Facebook Live, if someone would have said 3 years from now, you're going to make six figures doing what you just did tonight. And so was he. I would have laughed at you.
Yeah.
I would have laughed at you. But here we are.
Yeah. And I also probably would have been like, I'm never going to do that. Yeah. Never going to be on front of the cameras every day.
Not every day.
Yeah.
Right. That's crazy.
I'm a damn criminal. I don't do that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's dope because I love what we have, right? There's no doubt about it. I love being able to sit down and interview these people and even network with them and have the conversations we do. I'm tired of the word interview.
Right.
I think they're just great conversations.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
And I got my wingman with me, Kato.
Kato. I watch you guys all the time.
And we kill it. Like our conversations are so dope that after it, I'm like, yo, I learned this, I learned that.
It's a good dynamic.
You know what I mean?
It's a good dynamic.
And we're learning more about one another as every episode passes as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? Our friendship started a little bit prior, but our friendship really actually began sitting across from one another and having these
It's like
conversations.
therapy sometimes.
Absolutely. It's
You're just having a conversation with someone like me, and you went in different genres. You went to the mainstream sort of the hip hop world.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is such a saturated market. For you to blow up this fast is insane.
I appreciate
That's a
that.
good sign.
Let's
go.
Because there's thousands of people across the world trying to do what you're doing, and you did it so quick.
Yeah.
I hit a niche, more of ancient history, mythology, the Bible, studying ancient religions. So I have a niche. So I have an advantage where there's an audience for that.
Yeah.
You're going more of the mainstream modern music. It's tougher. But you passed me because you went viral with Orlando Brown and Charleston White. But I was so happy to see that.
Yeah,
I really was.
And you gave me a lot of it. I was talking to Kato about this yesterday. Is you gave me a lot of the advice on the things that I should be doing. Man, the thumbnails ain't hitting. You got to change your thumbnails.
we were
Now I'm yelling at Nova. You got to change all the thumbnails, bro. My boy is telling me that we're not. And then the money started rolling in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And a lot of people don't understand it. And that's what I was going to say. Your fans, the people that are in here watching you, they genuinely love you. You know what I mean? Like when I look through the comment sections and when I'm watching,
those people keep me going every day.
Somebody said something about the History Channel, right?
Yeah, somebody left a
He is
comment.
better than the History Channel.
Exactly what they said.
That was really nice to you because I would have to disagree with History Channel. But you know what?
That's because you're a huge History Channel fan coming up.
Exactly.
Probably, you know what I mean?
But
it's like you're Mike Tyson.
People like that keep me going every day.
Yeah,
they really do. It's the people.
Absolutely. And I'm super in touch with my fans. Like I'll comment on all their comments. I try to reach out to everybody. I try to have a conversation. They could always reach out to me on Instagram, which is at the Danza Project. I feel like I want to connect with them. Not that I need to.
Yeah.
Right. Like these are the people that will sit there and tell you when they don't like something, and you could learn from it. Yeah. It's okay. There's going to be haters. That's okay too. You know what I mean?
But it's I'm gonna positive critiques.
Yeah.
Something to learn from. Right. Exactly.
I've learned how to block the haters finally.
Yeah. And you could tell who the genuine critiques are and who the haters are.
Yeah.
You can just tell by the tone.
Yeah.
Somebody go, hey, Neal, I love your channel. Hey, I thought about this though. And it's like, oh, that's positive criticism. And then you get people who are just like, hey, I hate the way you said this or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you can tell who the haters are. There's a lot of haters. There's probably more haters than fans if it comes down to it. No, maybe not. But you notice them more because they're just like saying crazy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, the theory that I like that I hear all the time is that a hater is just a fan that hasn't met you yet.
Right. It's so true though. Like I get the same people commenting on my videos and they're very negative, but it's like you're watching this video, now you're watching another video, now you're watching a third video. So you might be a fan at this point. You just haven't accepted that yet.
Showing up pretty regularly, showing up on time.
Right, on time.
Oh man, they're absolutely, your haters are your biggest fans. Listen, the hate makes the support better.
Right.
Because if you piss off a supporter, I love the people that love the Danza Project, right? Like I was telling Kato that we've become Danza Project, right? As a unit, that's our name.
Right.
Yo, Danza Project would never do this. Yo, Danza Project would say this. You can't. I bet you won't walk up to Danza Project and say that. You know what I mean? Like, it's become that. But
it's a collective.
When somebody loves you, and or let's not say love. I don't want to say they love me. But when they support you, you think about the way everybody else is out there, and the people that are hating, and these supporters will pretty much put them in their place really quick. You know what I mean? And I love that. And that's why I love reading the comments.
What you just said is so real because I did a video recently. I criticized an academic, PhD academic. I did a whole video criticizing the way this dude was coming in this podcast he was in with my friend Danny Jones. Mm-hmm. And I just noticed some stuff. I've been listening to other academics in the same vein as him who say the opposite shit he's saying. So I called them out. And there's haters in the comments. Well, who was there to respond to those haters in the comments? Not me. Yeah. My fans were. So it's always good to see that. Like, and they're saying things that I would say. So I don't even have to say it because you're saying things I would say.
Yeah,
I'll just leave it to you guys.
That just shows the type of environment that you've built.
Yeah.
You know, people come to your platform to do that, to interact and exchange like that. You know?
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. No. And it also is a testament to what you're saying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If people weren't, I'm not speaking up for somebody I don't believe in what they're saying, you know what I'm saying? Especially on the internet. So
it makes me feel like I'm in good company.
Where,
because I read the comments. There's some smart people in those comments.
Yeah, too.
And I learn from them too. Just like, you know, they say that they're enjoying my stuff, but I read their comments and I'm learning from them too. It's like a two-way street.
Yeah, it is dope.
So you've done a tremendous job building up your program, building up your platform, and talk to us about, because what I love doing is getting people to know you from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I know more about you than the average Joe based on just the Buffalo life, right? You see the Josh Allen jersey. Shout out to the Buffalo Bills.
Can I just say tell a story? The first time I ever saw you, it was middle school. I was walking to school. I think it was 6th grade, and I seen you standing in front of Kenmore Middle School, and all the girls are walking up to you trying to, oh, Miggs, what up, Miggs? And then my friend Kenny, he was like, oh, that's Miggs. Oh, he's my brother's age. Don't mess with that dude. He's from the East Side, bro. I don't even know what he's doing here. You know? And I just remember getting that introduction to you as this dude who just had it going on, dude. And you've always kept that up. And like, look, there's only a few people who can be like that. In every group of friends you get, there's like one person like that. So you have like this type of persona that only very few people can live up to. And I want my people who came here from my channel to know that I'm with someone like that. That's what I just want to make sure that people understand that.
Yeah.
And you have a very successful career,
right? I feel like I've just been saying that. I was like the Illuminati. People say all these things about it, but I feel illuminated, right? I feel like, and this is something I want to speak about with you specifically, because my grandmother passed recently. I've been speaking about it a lot because I've decided that this is what I want to platform. This is what I want to talk about. She's always told me that, you know, you're going to be a preacher one day. That's what she wanted me to be, and I wanted to be a preacher. And it's kind of what I'm doing, right? Like I have the ability to talk to people, and then I thought about when she passed. You know, I got a lot of writings from her that she was writing to God every day, and she wrote to God for me a few times, and she was saying, "Watch over him because one day he's going to speak to the world." And then I thought, I'm not speaking about the best things. And it's time that I turn that around because, you know, for the people that genuinely value me and support me, I shouldn't be putting out trash product, right? I should be doing my best to make sure that I'm talking about the right things. And that's where I want to go with this conversation here. But I do want you to bring us back to like what made you today? Like was history always a thing? Like bring us back to the beginning, the upbringing and all of it.
Yeah, man. So I can relate to that a lot because if you want to, I don't know how far you want to go back, but you and I know that I've had my ups and downs. I'm just making sure this live is set up right and we're good. So you and I know that I've had my ups and downs. Mm-hmm. When I was 17 years old, you know, a lot of people know this. I've talked about it on my channel many times, but I'll just repeat it here. It's a late night show, so we can get into it. I ended up getting arrested for possession / intent to sell type of thing, where it became a state thing. Ended up doing time for this thing. So ended up doing prison time. When I was in prison, I read the Bible cover to cover. Became obsessed with Christianity. I turned 21 in prison. That's how long ago this was. I'm 35 now. So that tells you how far back this was and how far it's been, how far I've came since then. And it's not like I just got out of prison and started doing good. I had a lot of ups and downs up until about 6 years ago. About 6 years ago is when everything's been steady incline. However, long story short, I got into like I said, reading the Bible cover to cover, I got into what is this book? Where did it come from? Is it true? Is it not true? Is it literally true? Is it metaphorically true? Is it in the middle? All that stuff. So I started going to church after I got out. That helped me get my life together. So I even to this day, I criticize many denominations. The Catholic Church, I criticize Baptist churches. I criticize all types of denominations, right? But I have to say, Christianity did, in a lot of ways, get my life together. And then I started to ask the experts in the field, academics. I started reaching out to PhDs in the field. And that's when I started my channel, Gnostic Informant, a little bit over 3 years ago, June of 2021. So 3 years and like 2 months ago. This is what, 3 months ago or something like that. Right after you and I had our little fun podcast that we did. Because that was like May of that year. Yeah. It was the same year, 2021. Anyways, I started asking academics like what they thought about this stuff. Started learning about ancient history. Started learning about ancient Greek philosophy. Started learning about Plato, Socrates, who the Stoics were, who the Cynics were, who the Atomists were. Epicureans. I wanted to know the backdrop of the world that Jesus of Nazareth was living in, because I want to know, what did he learn as a child growing up? What was he learning? Who was talking to him? And I learned about people like Hillel the Elder. Was this Jewish thinker from the early first century who said that the whole Torah summed up is to love your neighbor. This guy said this in probably like first decade of the first century. So I'm thinking to myself, Jesus probably learned from this guy. So I started putting together things about the origins of Christianity, the first 100 years of Christianity. I became obsessed with the world between 50 BC to like 150 AD. And I started looking for every primary source that I can find about that time period and putting together what I think happened in that time period. And that's what started my channel, Gnostic Informant. So I'm very critical. I'm not just some apologist trying to preach the gospel to people. I'm very critical of Christianity. I'm actually trying to debunk it in some senses, but I'm also looking for why it grew so fast and what made it so successful, and what it did to the world, how it changed the world, how it flipped the hierarchy from a world where the Caesar was on top, and there was Caesar, and there was the patron class underneath that, and then the equestrian class underneath that, and then the plebs underneath that, and the slaves underneath that. And then what Christianity did was said, flip that on its head. The first will be last, the last will be first. So I started to I wanted to figure out, why did Christianity become the religion that everybody in the West, in America, and Europe believe in? Why did Islam become the religion that everyone in the Middle East believe in? Why is Judaism? And that's why I started my channel. Trying to ask questions, trying to be as critical as possible, not trying to prove it true, but trying to actually do the opposite, trying to criticize it, but also learn. But what happened as a result of trying to be very critical and trying to be very sharp on, like, is this thing, did these miracles happen or not? What I realized was, it's not even about that. It's about how Christianity gave a message to the world that had never been heard before, in the sense where the old world of the ancient Greeks and Romans that had a hierarchy was reversed. And for the first time ever, people of all different denominations and different countries in the Roman Empire that were conquered became part of something. And it was kind of the first international corporation in a sense. And so you got to hand it to Christianity. They did something that's never been done before. And it's still around today, you know?
Now, when you're going through this conquest, because, it starts gathering all the pieces, and the pieces become finer and finer, and it just gets deeper and deeper each alley you go into.
Yeah.
When you're asking these questions, hopefully objectively,
Yeah.
are you leaning on the side of, I hope it's true? Or are you kind of like,
I used to be like that.
Right.
I used to ask questions about with the intent of, I hope it's true.
Right.
And then as things progressed, I stopped doing that because I realized something about 2.5 years ago. I realized that it doesn't actually matter if it's true or not. Not saying it's not true. I'm not an atheist, by the way. Just want to make that clear. I'm not an atheist. But it doesn't matter if the books are literally true, if Taoism is literally true, if Islam is literally true, if Judaism is literally true, if Hinduism is literally true. What matters is this thing inspiring people to do something? Is it inspiring people? Is it getting into the hearts and mind of people to do something in the world?
Yeah.
That's one of the things I've come to realize recently.
It's mind blowing.
It is.
It's like placebo effect.
So Socrates, I don't know if you go to Socrates. Socrates was this, everyone knows what Socrates is. Yeah. All right, I don't have to introduce Socrates. He was the teacher of Plato.
I don't want you to, because I feel like
let's talk about him.
You're a good
people
one
don't
too.
really remember.
So here goes how I want to approach this conversation. I'm going to be honest. I know bits and pieces, right? But I don't know what you know.
Yeah.
And now that we have you here, there's a very good chance that if I don't know that a lot of other people don't know that, because we go through life and we learn what we learn and we kind of go off this, we go this route, right? And there's so much information that we just avoid. So whenever you feel like explaining something, explain it. If you feel like maybe I should explain this because it'll paint that picture, paint it for us.
I love it. I like to talk, so let's do it.
Well, you welcome home.
Yeah. And whenever you want to budge in with something.
I'm about to ask, because I actually study history and I have a degree in history, and I a lot of your approach is very similar to the way I look at it, where I try to look at things where the world's so different and we have all these continents and we have all these different religions and cultures. What actually makes us all the same? But like you said, why is Christianity so widely adopted? And I also venture to say, like, Islam is the same thing. I mean, because if you look at it from the point of view of Islam, a lot of ways, it's almost like the most successful religion there is, because Muhammad spread that in his lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, he created an empire while he was alive.
Everywhere from North Africa to Morocco, all the way to the coast of India.
Exactly.
It's all Islam. It's Islam world.
Yep.
And it's almost as big as the Christian world. It's not. The Christian world is actually, Christianity is the biggest religion in the world, believe it or not.
Right. No, I understand.
Islam is number 2.
But Islam has a name for it.
But they say Islam is growing exponentially faster than Christianity right now. So if things continue in that direction, Islam could overpass Christianity. Who knows?
Yeah.
Things change, things fluctuate.
But I was saying that to say this, right? So it sounds like you familiar with Joseph Campbell and exactly
Hero of 1,000 Faces.
Exactly.
So you know where I'm going with this.
Right. And I kind of want to start the conversation with that. So people, like, what you're saying is, if you look at it, you realize that we actually have more in common than we do differences.
Yeah.
And if you study the world religions, kind of like what Joseph Campbell was saying, you realize that there's so many things that we have in common.
Right. That's another. I'm glad you brought that up, because what we call paganism, they didn't call themselves pagans.
Right.
They just called themselves fearers of God, believe it or not. Socrates, some people will call him, he was a pagan before Judeo-Christianity conquered the Greek world. But if you actually ask Socrates what he thought about his own religion, he wouldn't say, I'm a pagan. He would say, I fear God. That's what he would say. Right. He would say the same thing a Christian would say. So there wasn't really that much of a difference. Socrates thought that the belief in God isn't that the God's literally sitting in the clouds. He didn't say that. He said God is the inspiration of the muse. The muse, there's 9 muses. There's these 9 muses. They're like angels, basically.
Right.
They're intermediaries between God and humans, and they influence people in the world. That's what Socrates believed in. His religion was a religion of inspiration of poets, of playwriters, and in today's world, it'd be movie writers, be songwriters, it would be book writers, people who put stuff out for the world to consume. And those are the things that inspire people to become something. That inspiration to Socrates, according to Plato, Plato's the one who records Socrates. He's the student of Socrates. According to Plato, the inspiration is where God dwells. So don't look at the idea of God as something that's physically sitting in the clouds, because that's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
But look at it as like, what inspires you to do things? What is your free will? Like, think about free will, how crazy it is. Because human beings are kind of like robots. We're just flesh and blood. We're skeleton, where we have blood, we have veins, and we have a brain. But why are we allowed to do whatever we want? That's what Socrates would say is God, where God dwells, is the inspiration that drives us to do things.
Tells you.
The muse. The religion of the muse is what the ancient Greeks believed in. And I think what Christianity does in the 2nd to 5th century of the Common Era, AD, Anno Diamo, whatever you want to call it, Christianity starts to unify all of these philosophical teachings that come together under Judaism. That was the main vein that they chose to, because Jesus was the Messiah. Jesus was the Messiah of the Jewish religion. So ultimately, it goes through Judaism, but it's not just Jewish. It's ultimately the broader world in general that influences Jesus of Nazareth. So not to get too I'm not trying to get too religious right now, but I'm trying to say, historically, if we're trying to let's be real for a second. This thing did kind of take over the world in a sense, because before 100 AD, you didn't have one dominant religion. The Roman imperial cult was a plethora of city-states. The cult of Athens, they worshiped Athena. The cult of Alexandria, Egypt, they worshiped the god Serapis or Osiris. In the city of in Cyprus, they worship Aphrodite. In Phoenicia, they worship Adonis. In Rome, they worship Romulus. And so, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They had all these different gods in different cities. But Christianity comes along, sort of unifies all these messages, and the sayings of Jesus that we have recorded. If we're just going to take the evidence as it falls down to us, what did Jesus say? Well, we have a bunch of parables. What do the parables mean? Well, if you actually examine the parables that Jesus actually said, you'll find it has a lot of Stoic, Cynic, Platonist, Pythagorean leanings. Now, people will say, okay, so what are you trying to attack the sayings of Jesus as some plagiarist stuff? No, I'm saying that Jesus was a very educated guy who knew some really intelligent philosophical sayings that he wanted to preach to the world, that he wanted to select and put out there, that somehow people gravitated towards. Now, back to what Socrates was saying, what motivates people? What's the muse doing? For some reason, this guy's message caught like wildfire. So you have to at least, as critical as I am of organized denominational Christianity as a religion, you have to at least give credit to where credit's due. This order or this sect that came out of the Middle East did something to the hearts and minds of the people of the Roman world that it completely changed the world forever.
But I don't know. I have a question for you, though. I mean, what you're saying is true, and I give all that. But wouldn't you agree that when Constantine, there's a Roman emperor, Constantine, who basically is like, you know what? He had a vision. He saw a fire in the sky, and it told him to be Christian. Yeah. And then from then on, he was like, fuck that. Everybody in Rome is Christian. So, would you say that
do you think do I think that happened actually, literally?
No, do you think that was the nail in the coffin? Because once the Roman emperor adopts Christianity and says this is what it is,
Everybody
that
fall in
is
line.
exactly.
So-
and to your point, everything about it like agrees. So in other words, if Jesus, his teachings made sense with current Roman philosophy,
Right,
or current Greek philosophy, or what's accepted to be true, of course, once the emperor says this is what we're doing, that's what we're doing. It makes sense.
Now, Constantine legalized Christianity, and apparently he became a Christian himself. However, none of his inscriptions that he left, he put up arches in Rome. And on those arches, there's no crosses, there's no Jesus. He put up the sun god,
Right.
Sol Invictus, and Mithras. Now, do I think that the stories aren't true that he became a Christian? No, I don't think that's true. I think he did become a Christian. I just don't think that
Was the big move.
Here's what I think he was doing. I think he was playing both sides of the fence. I think he was playing to his pagan audience and the Christian audience. What happened was he legalizes Christianity at 325. He holds this Council of Nicaea. Council of Nicaea convenes in Constantinople, in Nicaea, actually, right near Constantinople, and they decide that the Christian dogma going forward is to believe in a triune Trinity God. All right, that happens in 325. 395, 70 years later, Christianity and paganism were living side by side. They didn't ban paganism yet. There were still Platonists, there were still Pythagoreans, there were still Mithraists, there were still Bacchic religion, there were still all these different religions out there. In 395, Theodosius is the one who said, I'm shutting down all the pagan temples. I'm shutting down the libraries. I'm shutting down this. I'm shutting down that. And only Christianity will survive going forward. That's what changed everything.
Gotcha.
I disagree with his move there. I think he should, because here's the thing. Those traditions that he banned, just like Judaism adds to Christianity, those traditions did too. So we lost half of our tradition there. So now we're left in this state going, well, I'm not Jewish, but Jesus was Jewish. Most people are confused about this. They're like, what is this? Should I be Jewish? Should I be if those other traditions were to stay afloat and Theodosius never canceled them, you would know why Christianity is Christianity. Because it's sort of what Christianity does, it sort of unifies both traditions into one.
Kind of like how Christmas has some pagan traditions.
There's some pagan stuff going on.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't mean that Christians are secretly worshiping pagan gods. Crazy. It doesn't mean that. It just means that they're taking early existing traditions that people loved and adapted to and purifying it in a Christian sense.
Right, like the Christmas tree.
Yeah,
that's like a Norse thing that now is part of the Christian tradition.
Do you know that this is part of Paul? If you read Paul's epistles, the epistles of Paul, right? Yeah. Paul's the number 2. Let's be real. Jesus is number 1. Paul's number 2.
Right.
Like people say Peter's number 2 or James is number 2. We don't have the epistles of Peter. You don't have the letter to Romans from Peter. You have the letter of Romans from Paul. Here's one who wrote that shit. So Paul's number 2. Paul literally tells people in his letter to the Corinthians, who cares about pagan, he says, who cares about pagan idols? If you go to a dinner table and you're with a pagan and he offers a sacrifice to a pagan god, doesn't do anything to you. You're a Christian. Who cares? It has no power over you. That was Paul's message. Somehow that message didn't get heard by Theodosius. So I think they did a disservice to the world, to the Greek world, to the Roman world, of shutting down these older temples that I think should be still around today. I'm not saying that Christianity should be around anymore. Obviously, Christianity deserves the respect that it gets.
Right.
Because it's Christianity. I mean, it won the game.
Right.
But I'm saying that these other traditions, just like Judaism, added to this, because the world that we live, people who try to get to God, this is what I believe. I'm gonna give my own opinion for a second. This is not some scholarly thing. People who try to get to God, try to get inspired by God, you'll get there. Just try to do it. It doesn't matter what avenue you go through. Try to be a Taoist, try to be a Hindu, he'll answer to you. It's all in the inspiration of your mind. That's why I think when they canceled these pagan temples and they canceled these Platonic academies, they did a disservice. And what they did is they cut off half of the Christian tradition.
You're deleting somebody's favorite song.
Yeah.
You know, exactly the way that the avenue in which they could have used to find God. Maybe this one didn't speak to them, but
it's like you're a Jay-Z fan, so you delete all of Nas's songs now?
Yeah.
Because you don't like Nas?
Word.
You should have kept Nas around. That's what I think about it.
Word.
So I'm not saying that Christians need to become pagans,
right?
Or that they should be, or that you're secretly worshiping a pagan god through Jesus. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that these very intelligent pagans that you call pagans, that you think were demonic, weren't really like that. When you look at the primary sources, they weren't doing orgies and human sacrifice. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. But I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the traditions that were actually trying to be pious. Those, which are more often than not, the philosophy, the people like Socrates and Plato and Aristotle, those guys, who we would call a pagan. We would call Aristotle a pagan. Yeah. But get this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what's called Thomism. It's a sect of the Catholic Church. They call them Thomists or Thomism. Thomism is based off Aristotelian philosophy. It's based on Aristotle's teachings. Aristotle was a pagan. So wait, you're allowed to accept pagan teachings as long as no one knows it's pagan teachings? That's what I'm trying to say to people. I'm trying to show people there are deeper roots that people don't realize. And I'm not trying to make it seem like Christianity is secretly pagan, but I'm trying to show people that the roots of Christianity aren't just from Judaism. It also comes from the Greco-Roman world as well. So, that makes sense?
Yeah. Surprise. Yeah.
You know, and again,
it's hard to do.
This is what I feel like I want to do as a platform when we have conversations with people. You know, we often get criticized. Oh, well, you let them carry on with their narrative and you didn't challenge them. Well, I'm learning.
Right.
And I'm also, I'm learning how you operate, right? So it's not my job to sit here and dispute everything with you. I'm learning. You know what I mean? Like genuinely learning. If I got any debates about it, then I'll jump in and I'll say this. So when you go back to Christianity, right? Because Christianity seems to be what America really follows. I also believe I was 33 years old, 7 years ago. That's how I got my life right. You know, it was through walking into a Christian church just off of a whim. Like, you know what? I need to switch it up.
Happens.
I'm doing a lot of messed up shit in my life, and it's time. You got
inspired. You got inspired.
And because I felt like they were talking to me. You know, they were like, one of you in here are cheating.
That's a real thing that happened to you.
One of you are a cheater, and you're doing it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, shit. That's why I'm here today. You know what I mean? Then like the light's on me. It might be somewhere else in the room, but the light was on me.
Right.
And this is me. Like, I'm sitting there. I shit you not. I'm sitting there like.
Does anybody want to confess?
No, I went to get up and leave because I'm like, this is too much pressure. I'm kind of high. I should have walked in here high. You know what I mean? Like,
I've been there before too.
Like, this is too much pressure. I don't want to talk about it. And
by the way, the first 7 months, at least, maybe 9 months when I was in prison, didn't say a word when I went to the church services. Didn't talk. They used to, the guy who came from the outside, I was in Orleans prison in New York State, upstate. And he used to go, does anyone here want to give themselves over to the Lord and save their souls? I wouldn't say shit for like 9 months. And then finally one day I was just inspired to do it. I said, I want to give myself over. And then they're like, all right, confess your blah, blah, blah. But I'm saying, like, I know exactly what you mean. You're just there, but you're not feeling it yet.
Yeah.
You're not inspired yet.
Yeah. I ain't giving these guys my money. You want me to give them money.
Right.
Just talking about them, give them money.
That's how I was for like 9 months.
Yeah.
But it was nice to get out of the unit. Yeah. To get out of the jail unit for a couple hours.
Positivity.
And that's what I did for like after like 9 months of going there, finally something hit me and said, just say it. Just do it. And that's changed my life forever.
Yeah, it's wild because it's why you're here today. You know, it's everything that you've been doing and building. Now, take it all the way back, right? Do you believe that Mary just was pregnant and had Jesus?
Don't.
Okay.
So here's what I think about the miracles. I think that miracles represent the way that people who wrote the Gospels look back at the events. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. The way that so whoever wrote Mark's Gospel, scholars say Mark was the first Gospel written, not Matthew. Matthew came second. Whoever wrote Mark's Gospel felt so inspired to write these exact narratives about Jesus of Nazareth for whatever reason, that it doesn't matter if it's literally true or not. What matters is this person left a mark on people's minds and heart that 40 years, because Mark gets written in 70 AD. Jesus died in 30. 40 years later, this dude, whoever it is, Mark, whoever it is, some people say it might not be Mark. Doesn't matter. Someone wrote Mark. Whoever wrote that text was inspired to write this particular story. Do I think all these miracles happen exactly how they're written? No, I don't. But I don't think that matters. I think we live in a universe that's governed by laws. I don't really necessarily believe in miracles. I believe sometimes things happen that appear to be miracles. We can call it miracles. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. It's like saying like it does. At that point, is it a miracle or not? If it appeared to be a miracle, then it might as well be a miracle.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, whoever wrote this text was so inspired by what happened 40 years prior that they wrote it down in the way they did. So it doesn't even matter. What matters is once it gets put down on paper, it becomes a vehicle to inspire people up into this day. So this is the thing about me. I get criticized. People think I'm an atheist. I'm not, because I get very critical when it comes to certain things about the Bible, like miracles. But I don't think the miracles matter. I don't think that's where we should be looking at.
I think metaphor.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've always thought that way. And I'm also somebody that when I have conversations with people about what I've read in the Bible, and I start saying, well, especially when it comes to my family, you know, because my grandmother is Christian to the core, you know what I mean? And she preached that to me every single day. Every conversation was about that. Every conversation was
I agree with that too.
And this is the way it goes, you know, and she was starting to hit me with the YouTube videos. She never sent me a Gnostic Informant one. You know what I mean? You know, don't criticize, don't be critical. But, you know, I always, when I speak to my mother, I'm like, you know, it's not that the guy split the seas, right? But he made a way. And if you think about it that way, you know what I mean? It sounds way cooler when they say split the seas. You know what I mean? It's here goes one thing I always say about Christianity, right? About religion in general. If the world were to burn over today, and you got a couple books that are out there, right? Albums. And it's just like a Jay-Z album, a Tupac album, a Biggie album. Right. That would be like, these people would be known as gods. Right. Like, where did these writings come from?
We're sons of God.
And what are we hearing there? A lot of stuff that isn't real, they're metaphors, right? And the metaphors is what would gravitate. That's what'll hit. It's like, oh my God.
It'll inspire people.
Yeah.
It'll get, people will read that or watch that or whatever, however the media is, and they'll get inspired by it.
And you could interpret it your own way.
You can interpret it, and then it puts you go out in the world and you do something according to that.
Yeah.
It literally changes the fabric of reality, because people who are inspired by it do good by it. That's the whole point.
Is this where like manifestation and like spell casting kind of comes in?
That's an interesting point you bring up, because that's what a lot of these pagan religions, they would do these things where they would cast spells or whatever. Mm-hmm. But what they're really doing, they're not really casting a spell. What they're really doing is they're putting intent. They're putting an intent out there. They're putting an intent out there, and they're trying to make something happen out of it. And like for example, Alexander the Great. Everyone knows what Alexander the Great is. Story is he crosses over to Asia Minor, which is Persian territory. Now he's in the Persian Empire. He's in the wrong. He's not in Greece no more. What's the first thing he does? he sacrifices an animal to Zeus. Why? What is that going to do? Because it tells you my intent is to give offering to God and putting things in your hand. And the soldiers are watching as the sacrifice goes on. And the soldiers get pumped up by it.
Right.
And they're all fired up. And they see the sacrifice. They see the priest. They do its work. And he sprinkles the blood. He does all this stuff. And they go, ah!
It's real. It's that.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And that worked. You offered up to God and it worked. That's what I mean. So that's as far as like spell casting and all that. Do I think it literally works? No. But I think if you do it in the right setting, you can make the intent known and people can be inspired by it. It's all come back to inspiration. Yeah. Inspiration is the magic. That's where it all goes down, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about the inspiration.
And what is that?
Because it comes down to free will. Free will is so, when you actually wrap your head around free will, it's mind blowing. Like you look at a squirrel outside and you're like, does that squirrel even have free will? It's just chasing around chestnuts and it's not thinking about his great uncle that died yesterday. They don't care. But humans had this thing about them.
Yeah.
We are aware of what's going on. We're thinking about the space and cosmos. We're thinking about death. We're thinking about our mortality. There's something different going on with humanity.
Where do you think that source of consciousness comes from or was inspired from, you know?
That's a good question.
Right, I mean, I would bet
who does know, but like from your experience.
But that's the question. That question right there is why I'm not an atheist. Because I can't wrap my head around why humans are so different than other animals out there.
I mean, to your point, I would say that's what God is, right?
It's the inspiration.
The fact that we can make decisions, that we can do these things, that we have cognition. I mean, they say in the Bible that God made man in his own image. So the fact that you could do right and wrong, because I mean, I think that personally, religion is really all about discipline. You have free will. And these are examples, but whether it be Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, whoever, these are examples of how to live the most productive and prosperous life for all of us.
Right.
Because you can
that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But I feel like consciousness would come before free will, right? Were we conceived with consciousness, or was it something that we?
You know what I'm saying? I think about that because I believe in evolution.
Okay,
I do. I'm convinced by the arguments. I'm not going to make fun of someone who doesn't, but I'm convinced by the arguments by academics who have asked questions. I've had scholars on my channel and I've asked about evolution, and I'm convinced by it.
Yeah. I have a simple question about evolution.
Yeah.
Which I don't. So you mean evolution in the sense that you really believe that man came from monkeys?
Well, a monkey is an animal that lives today from the same evolutionary path that we're in.
But that's what I'm saying.
We came from something, whatever it is before us. It was some sort of proto-human figure. Marked for humanity. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay, but
that's what I'm saying. Like,
so
was it planned or not? That's where it all lies for me. Because I think it was. I think it was.
So
that's what keeps me from being an atheist. I actually do think there's a better chance than not that everything that's happening right now was planned. So it doesn't matter if we came from the same life force that monkeys today come from. Doesn't matter. What matters is what was planned from the beginning.
My simple argument against evolution is that anything that evolves, right, replaces what was there before.
Yeah.
Meaning that if we're now listening to, let's say music, for example, let's say we evolved from vinyl to cassette. Well, after a while, you don't see vinyl anymore. And then we went from cassette to CD. And after a while, you don't see cassettes anymore. Right. And now we're in the online digital area where you don't really see CDs anymore. So if we evolved from monkeys or apes or primates or whatever, primates shouldn't even be on the earth.
That's actually not true because the primates that are alive today did evolve in a different way than we did. The primates that were alive 150,000 years ago are not the same primates of today. They just evolved in a different spot than we did. we evolved here. So again, it goes back to so this is sort of a deist thing. I don't know if you heard of deism.
I heard you mention it earlier.
Deism is the idea that there is a mind behind the universe that planned everything out from the beginning, and that this evolutionary path was just meant to happen the way it is. So do I think there was an Adam and Eve? Literally, no. Do I think that there was a part in time where proto-humans become human? Yes. And the question then becomes, was it planned from the beginning?
What sparked that? What?
And I tend to think, I get laughed at for this all the time. I tend to think that it was planned from some sort of mind. That's what I'm leaning towards.
So like the intelligent designer theory?
Yeah.
I mean, have you heard of the Bajau people?
No.
So they're a group of people. They're known as the sea nomads and the sea gypsies. So there's this people out there in our universe, in our world, that could live underwater for a lot longer. And they've evolved. Their kids now their children are having the ability to do that. Yeah.
Now that you mention that, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like clearly
there's some sort of adaptation going on. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I mean by, I'm convinced by the academics that when they explain to me evolution, and my dumb ass goes, that makes a lot of sense. I can't refute that. That's where I'm at with that.
It is interesting, right? Like there's just so much that went on, and you know, like I'm loving this conversation right now because it's the opportunity to present those facts in front of people and dispute it. Like you don't want to. I feel like so many people when they, this is a conversation that I've had with exes. And it's like, okay, well, we go to church and it's like full-blown belief that this is the way and you're not living righteous because of this and now you're going to go to hell because of this. Do you believe in heaven or hell?
Yes.
In which way?
This is going to blow your mind. So there's a scholar named Sabine Hosenfeld. She's a woman from Germany. She's a physicist. And I've already thought about this myself, but she pointed it out. She explained it better than I could in my own mind, that right now we are living and everything we're doing right now is leaving an impact on the world. And when you die, you're like a drop of ink that goes into the ocean and it gets spread out and it's gone. That's the end of it. However, at the end of the universe, when the last black hole encapsulates the last sun and there's nothing left, whatever is after that, whatever machine or mind is in control of this realm can have the ability to find the data that makes up your mind and my mind and your mind and your mind and bring it back and do whatever it wants with it. Maybe there's a judgment, maybe there's not. But that's what I think is going to happen. Do I think people, this is going to be controversial, but I'm just being honest. I right now do not think anybody is in heaven or hell right now as we speak. People who have passed away don't even know they're dead. They're not like in blackness suffering. They're literally gone, as in the sense where when you go to, have you ever been to sleep when you woke up 7 hours later and the time is gone? This happened, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think happens to people when they die.
Morning.
When you die, I think there's a split second between the time you die and the time that you're brought back. And it could be trillions of trillions of trillions of trillions of years, and you didn't even notice it. But you've been brought back, and everyone's brought back at the exact same time. Not people who are dead 1,000 years ago are waiting for you. I don't think that. Everybody, if this is true, everybody gets brought back at the exact same time.
And it's like, whoa, I just had a crazy dream.
That's it. And think about this too. The worst people that you could think of who really did not take advantage of this world. In the grand scheme of infinity, does that person really deserve? I mean, if you're an omniscient, all-knowing, good God in creation that created this world, would you really punish someone for eternity? We're talking billions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions times longer than your lifespan is for one mess up, for a 70-year mess up compared to billions and trillions. That does not make it does not make sense to me. To me, it makes more sense that there is some mind behind this all that's letting people will die. That's the reality of this. We're in a physical realm. We have physical hearts, physical brains. We die, and that's it. When we're dead, we're dead. But the data is still there. All the data in this universe is data. It's gonna be the potential, according to this physicist that I was talking to, according to other people as well. The potential to bring back the data is there. So it's very possible that there could be a mind behind this universe that brings back. And whether you want to view that through a Christian lens or through a Hindu lens or through a Buddhist lens, I don't think it really matters. I really don't.
Do you believe that there's a collective consciousness then that we're all going back and forth to?
I do. That's Carl Jung's idea.
Yeah.
I'm a big Carl Jung fan. Carl Jung I think he was a genius. And he was a psychiatrist.
This is Kyle Jung, would you say?
Carl Jung.
Okay.
He lived in the early 20th century.
Right.
From Germany. And he was a psychiatrist, or psychologist, I'm sorry. And psychologists today are like, he's outdated. But if you actually read his shit, oh my God, is he good. He is going to blow your mind away. That's who Jason Campbell was a big fan of Carl Jung. Oh, wow. Carl Jung was the first person to come through with, he was one of the first people to translate Gnostic literature. So what happened was.
So he's the one that had the different stages of development, self-actualization, so on and so forth.
He thought about all that. So in the 1940s, some Arab Bedouins were throwing stones and they knocked something down and they heard a crack. There was a pottery there. And they found these scrolls. Not the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is another story. It happened around the same time.
Right.
But this happened in Egypt, not in Israel. And they opened up they found these scrolls, and they were these ancient Christian texts that no one's ever seen before. And it was depicting Jesus in a whole different light. And these texts are considered Gnostic.
Right.
Carl Jung was one of the first people to translate these texts. Carl Jung believed that everything we do goes into a collective consciousness. That's why you ever think like, certain times of the world, people start thinking the same way.
I mean, I look at it now with kids. You're going to see it with your kids too, how they just gravitate towards iPads or like kids. Yeah. All kids now watch videos of other kids opening toys and playing with toys. And like, where did they learn that from?
And you're like, what's driving them to do this?
Right.
That's what Carl Jung would say is the collective consciousness, or he called it the collective unconscious. And to me, to this day, I've never heard anyone explain it better than him. So I'm a big proponent. I think Carl Jung was on point. That's where I started my channel from him, by the way.
Wow, that's fire.
Yeah.
Here's my idea of heaven and hell. It's a metaphor again. I believe if you live the right way, right, you tend to live a happier, more fulfilled life. And I believe if you live the wrong way, right, you tend to get yourself into situations, going to prison, right, dealing with people, unfavorable people. Right. You know what I mean? It's kind of like The Secret. You know, if you think positive, you receive positive. If you think negative, you receive negative. So I believe that when people are living wrong, they're always finding themselves in the wrong places. They're always depressed. They're always dealing with anger issues. And when you live the right way, the one thing I really admired about my grandmother is you couldn't shake her faith. Right. So she lived a certain way and she was happy. I tried to pull my grandmother out of Puerto Rico so much. Right. And even in her dying days, that when I said, hey, this is where you should be, Abuela, you should be with us. It's just like, I'm happy here. I don't need to live. I don't need to leave. She's alone there, but she's happy there. You know what I mean? And she's found it inside of herself to be happy daily. That is what heaven is in my idea, like as a metaphor, like that's that peace.
Yeah.
that tranquility that we're all searching for.
And that data will always be there. That lived moment doesn't go away. That's what I think is going on in this realm. What the point of this all is to experience, is to find your mind, to like find who we are, like just to have some sort of idea of I am this person, and then I became this person through this life, and that's it, and that becomes eternal, and that's you. Like that, to me, that I don't think there's any way of arguing against that. You're put in certain circumstances, you go through it. It might be rough, it might not, but you become an individual, and that individual is eternal. Like it just becomes, you did that thing and it happened, and it's never going to change. It could be bad, it could be good, but it happened.
Like what you were saying about, time is forever, right? Billions and billions and eons of years.
Right.
You find it hard to believe that God would punish you for being bad for 70 of them, even if it was a lifetime of shame or strife or whatever. But if that's the case, then why be good? If you can just come back and do it all over again and reincarnate and basically have another shot at it, why be good?
So I think there is a hierarchy. I do think though that there is a hierarchy of people who live in this world that do things to inspire others. Mm-hmm. So people who do good, for example. You came here you came through this world through your circumstances. You did good. People were inspired by you. What you just did was more important than almost anything that could have happened, because you have contributed to the progress of this reality itself. So there's like that will stay eternal forever. Now, if you come into this world and it was just dark, you got born in the wrong family, and you just wound up so bad that you end up
slip through the cracks.
Something bad happens. I don't think that person deserves to be. I just think personally, if I'm thinking of myself as a good, eternal, all-knowing creator that created this person, I'm all-knowing, right? If I'm all-knowing, then I know that this person's going to have a bad life. They were just part of this cog of this world that ended up in a bad crack. I don't think that person is going to end up eternally damned.
Right.
I think there's going to be some sort of
correction.
Yeah.
To add to Kato's point, I think that what really does it is the fact that every human being across the planet Earth, every culture for the time till now, procreates. We all have kids. And that in and of itself makes you want to at least be a better person or provide a better way for your child, because you want them instinctively to do better than you, or at least have a better existence than you. And that, even if you're the most evil person in the world, you love your kids.
Right.
It's only like true monsters that don't really like their kids.
Right.
So I think that, even in caveman times, they were like, damn, I can't go out here acting crazy or killing everybody because I need to at least preserve.
That's survival.
Yeah. It's instinct. At some level.
By the way, for all the people that are watching and that are in the chats, we could see them, but let me tell you what we see when we're having a conversation. We see a bunch of words, a bunch of writing. If you do a super chat, I'm not like some huge super chat guy, but if you do the super chat, we could see it. It stays there. We could read it. I will be willing to read it. I see the people
some
talking.
Of them supers, guys.
You know what I mean? But it just makes more sense to do it that way. Yeah.
By the way, I know we're live, so I don't want to disrupt it.
You got to go take a piss?
Gotta take a leak real quick. I'll be
go
right
ahead.
there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know how it is, guys. We're live. Just want to let you know.
I love this. You know what I mean? I always tell people, go take your leak.
This is how we do it.
This is how we do it. We used to have like halftime shows, play music and do all that stuff, but we haven't gone live in a while.
Yeah, we'd be like, intermission.
I miss going live, man.
I do.
I still tell myself we're going live.
So right now, you don't have to pay for the super chats. What's up, everybody? Tap in. Let us know where you're from. You got a couple questions while he's taking a leak. I'll try to get him out of the way. I'll try to answer. I know that the questions are for him, and maybe you could inspire me to shoot a question over to him. Now, this one's not pre-recorded, although we do a lot of pre-recorded episodes. This one's live, and you're watching me right now, the Ancient of Days.
Live.
Go get Charleston and get Charleston to ask him some questions, right? Charleston is this is something I do want to set up. I do want to set him up with Charleston because it'll be an interesting conversation. Man, you know what I mean? Hell nah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Nah.
Charleston got some shit.
Yeah, he does.
Charleston reads too. That's the good thing. He puts the atmosphere out like he don't really know nothing, but that's what fucks people up because he be having facts and shit.
Well, he's a genuinely curious man.
Shout out to the Bay.
People attribute his brains with his recent inspiration of fame,
right?
Not knowing that this was I don't know if you would say educated, but self-educated man.
I mean, that's kind of the beauty of getting older, because sometimes a lot of people don't really understand the wisdom and experience that you have. And you be like, look, man, I read a lot of books. You know what I'm saying? Word. I've done a lot of shit in my day. So let me just tell you about what I know.
I just spent about $250 on books on Amazon.com, which is the whole point of Amazon, by the way. But literally because of that, I saw a quote. It was about seeing people in, like, when people do conferences and speeches. He's like, usually when I charge to do a convention center, I'll charge 50 grand, 100 grand, depending on how many people I'm speaking, the size of the crowd, what the content matter is, how many people are there. He's like, but everything I say at my conventions, I put in my book. I charge $5,000 a seat. You know, he'll get paid however much, but I'll charge $5,000 a seat just for you to be in the room. I sell my book for $30 bucks. How many people you think actually buy my book? He's like, it doesn't relate. He's like, I give $5,000 worth of information to you for $30, and people still don't buy the book. People don't read. He's like, it's a lost art. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm like, I'm
an audible book type of guy. I like sitting around and I don't know. That's just how I am. But an audible book with the physical book at the same time that's
the real deal.
That's probably the real deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you still get a lot from the Audible. The only difference between the Audible book and like a paperback is that you can go back to the paperback. Like you can make notes and stuff like that.
Well, also for me, when it comes to retaining information, seeing it, because then I can add to my photographic memory.
Yeah.
It's not just I heard it one day and I'm recalling on this faint thing that I heard. I saw it. I know I saw it because I read it. Yeah. So it's that much more real.
Yeah. You know what's wild for me in the way my mind operates? When I hear it, I see it. I think this is what gives me the ability to be able to rap.
Yeah.
Right. Like when I could see, I'm literally like somewhere. Like I'm not, when I'm talking like that, I'm somewhere. I'm there and I'm just
possessed.
Like, yeah.
When I was watching you before we went live and you were spitting for like 35 minutes, just hitting notes and hitting rhymes perfectly, you look possessed. In a good way.
Yeah.
Like it takes you over. It's a spirit that takes you over. By the way, this is what the ancient Greeks believed in. They called it the possession of Dionysos. And it's not demonic. It means that God has inspired you to make music. That's it. And this is what they believed in. And I think there's something beautiful about that.
Absolutely. You know, it's almost a part of my past that I don't even want to be connected to anymore, but I am. Like, it's like, I get that from people in my, you should start rapping again, or you should start doing music again. It's like, I don't want to do music again. This is my music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This what I'm doing right now. You said when you walked in, you said you like to just go off the top. Right. When you have these shows. This is the same way I operate. You know what I mean? This is what we've been about the entire time. People think that we come up here with this script.
No plans.
For people. It's like, I have questions that I want to ask. Sometimes I'll get to them. Sometimes I won't. The conversation is what leads. Right. You know what I mean? And that's where we go. Like this conversation right here, again, it's just, for me, it's totally different than what we do. You know what I mean? We're talking to a lot of hip hop people, a lot of very popular people, you know what I mean? Pop culture. And a lot of people know these people and they go this way. That's why I literally love what you do. If I'm going to watch a podcast, I'm going to watch somebody have a conversation with somebody about something that I'm trying to learn. Right. Right. And I was telling Kato earlier, I'm like, if you watch this guy's shows, you're going into this world. You know what I mean? Like it's a song.
A lot of times it's not me, it's the person that I'm with.
Yeah.
The person, like I'll tune into that person's specialty. So I'll have a scholar on who's studied Plato, and then all of a sudden we're in Plato's world. Or I'll have a scholar on who studied the Dead Sea Scrolls. All of a sudden we're in Qumran in Israel in 150 BC. Like I just go into that world to that person, and I try to tune into what they study. Yeah. And that's my channel.
Now, while you're learning these things, are you traveling as well to be able to experience it?
I've been to Israel. I've been to Egypt. I'm going to Greece in the end of February, early March.
That's a big one.
Now, are you going there to vacation, or are you going there to
both?
Yeah,
I'm going there to film content, but I'm also going to enjoy myself.
Yeah,
I'll be there for like a good chunk of 2 weeks, maybe.
I absolutely loved my time in Israel.
We got
Israel was
chat.
amazing.
Yeah,
Super chat.
We got a super chat.
Uh-oh.
Does he know about Montauk Chia? Check him out.
Montauk Chia.
Shout out to Third Eye Mafia.
I don't know who Montauk Chia is.
Well, I'll Google it right quick. Well,
You might as well. How much they drop? $199. All right.
yeah. I mean, Third Eye Mafia. Tell us what we need to know about Montauk Chia. Go ahead.
You know, it's only $199. No, I was kidding.
All right, listen.
I'm just joking
everybody has a different pocket,
joking,
you know. So like, it's,
no, I never heard
I appreciate
that.
it.
I'm not going to pretend I don't know something. I know something I don't know.
That'll be pretty difficult though to pretend like you know. You know,
If
what
I
I mean?
just started giving a random answer.
Mr.
Yeah, I've
Chia?
heard of that before. Yeah, it's like Mortal Kombat, NBA Jam.
Well,
and
kind of.
Monkey.
It says that Montauk Chia is the Taoist master.
Taoist
Is the creator of the healing Tao Yoga, universal healing Tao system, and the Tao Garden Health Spa Resort located in. Is this just a fucking ad?
No. So I'll explain that. If you follow my channel, you'll know that I just started getting into Taoism.
Okay.
That's that's ancient China.
Right.
And then I've noticed so many similarities between the Taoism and Christianity. They have like their triune Trinity stuff. They have a lot of the same elements going on. And what it tells me that people who are trying to go down a certain path end up going in the same direction in different languages. So they're saying the same thing in different ways. Taoism's like that. So this Taoism, I didn't know who that gentleman was. I think it's a sage they mentioned. The name of a sage.
He wrote more than 60 books.
Yeah, so that's cool. I'll have to check into that. I'm glad he pointed it out to me.
Pretty cool.
So do you feel like there's all these religions? Do you feel like any of them are unhealthy?
I think there are unhealthy aspects of all of them. I think when it comes to fundamentalism means you believe in literally one dogmatic way and everything else is wrong. So for example, I went to a church for a couple of years that was a King James only Baptist evangelical Christian church. And if you didn't believe the King James Bible was perfect and inspired by God,
Word for word,
you were going to hell. So that to me,
those are scary.
is the
unhealthy.
answer to that question. Yeah. Unhealthy,
Those
completely.
are scary.
Those people are so gone in left field. They are out of reality. They can't realize the whole point of this whole thing. They think it's all about picking the right one. You're so below the mark. You haven't even gotten close, dude.
Yeah.
Like you're so gone. You don't even realize how far gone you are. But there's people, and every single religion has some example like that.
You know which one does?
Islam?
Ron L. Hubbard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. I'm sorry to say, if you're watching this and you're a Scientologist, but I've never come across anything good about Scientology. Just being honest.
So
I
I got
no
into
good
the book.
takeaways.
I got into Dianetics
Did you?
briefly.
I don't know much about it. So you
My
can tell me.
roommate walks into our apartment one day and he's like, bro, some lady just walked up to me at the mall and handed me this book and it creeped me out and I'm going to start reading it because it was really creepy. So I'm like, I'll read it, you know? So we both start reading Dianetics. I go to the store. I had to order this book, which super popular book. I'm just learning about it. And it had its beliefs. And it made it tough for me to communicate with people because it's saying like people only live for 4 different reasons. They live for self, they live for career, they live for family, or they live for love, right? And you could hear it in the patterns that they speak. This person says this, they're living for this. This person says this, they're living for this. Now I'm having conversations with people and I'm like, he lives for this. And everything else he says, like...
You start to map on.
Yeah, so it took away the genuine love for people. Like, and I'm like, I'm getting way too far into thinking like this is the only thing this person cares about. They can't care about anything else. You know what I mean? And that is how these people in Scientology are. I'm glad I didn't get too far into it.
Yeah.
I actually tossed the book out immediately.
See, so you just gave me the answer to your question. What I think is wrong with religions in general is when it gets too black and white. When things are either correct or incorrect. There's got to be a gray area in all this stuff. And so when you start looking at things, it has to map onto my worldview or else it's not true. And either like the King James Bible, for example, does this particular thing agree with the King James Bible? Well, if it doesn't, it's not true.
Yeah.
And that's where you're gonna measure all of your truth based on that. You're gone. You're far gone, in my opinion. So yeah, like Dianetics is another one of those examples. And then there's what's the other one that's not there's a few of those type of modern new age stuff. I always get when it comes to like the new age, when they're trying to unify all the religions into one, I get a bad taste from it. I don't think religions are meant to be joined together. Either join one or the other. Be a Christian, be a Jew, be a Muslim, be a Hindu. Follow that one. Don't join them all together. There's something about that just doesn't work because they contradict each other, but not in bad ways. They're just contradicting each other because they all have different ways of getting at God.
Right.
So
do you have kids?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say, how would you recommend religion be introduced to children, if at all?
I think children should be taught every single religion. Like as much as possible. Obviously, I think children should get. Sorry about that. Children should get a good education. They should learn chronological order. So they should learn like the old Babylonian religions, the old Sumerian religions. They should learn about the ancient Greek religions, the ancient Roman religion, then get into Judaism, then Christianity, then Islam. They should go in order of when the religions came into the world, and then they can see the development of religion itself, and then they can decide what best fits what I should be doing, which one inspires me the most.
Right.
And then they can be a better person that way.
I had a conversation with, it was like a, every neighborhood you got like that older guy that everybody kind of like that guy.
The OG.
I don't want to give him that much credit, but yeah, basically
the old head.
Yeah, the old head.
Yeah.
Just knows more than you do, right?
Yeah.
But and he could drive and get you beer and shit. No, but like, he was a serious dude, and he obviously knew a lot more stuff, and he would ask us some heavy questions, and we're like, whoa, like we go to school the next day asking our teachers what this guy down the street was talking to us about. But one day we were talking about religion, and we just kind of went one by one. He was like, what's your religion? He was born Jewish, but grew out of that, essentially, putting it short. I was born Catholic. And so he asked me, what's your religion? I said, Catholic. He said, why? Oh, well, that's how I was raised.
Same.
My mother raised me that way. And he's like, oh, but do you choose to be Catholic? If you were born
doesn't that shake you up? Doesn't that shake you up?
He's like, well, I'm not trying to encourage you or stop anything or pull you away, but just consider if you were born Buddhist, would you choose to be Buddhist, or is that just how you were born? Were you indoctrinated to be that? And he's like, all I'm saying is educate yourself on other religions and decide if that's who you actually want to be, not just being that because that's who you were born or assigned at birth. And so we did a real introspective deep dive later on.
I like that.
And I was like, man, he blew my mind. And it really made me look at Buddhism and Hinduism and all the other things that people have believed for so long and accepted as truth. I was like, damn.
Because they made it this far for a reason.
Right.
There's millions of Buddhists in the East, in Tibet, in China, in Mongolia, and even in Russia, whatever. Even in the West, people are Buddhist. Mm-hmm. What the hell was it about Buddhism that inspired people? There's something there. And so you have to give your hat off to that. If there's some sort of tradition out there that inspires people by the millions for thousands of years, you got to go, well, what is it about? There's something there.
Yeah. What can I take from that?
Shout out to Mushroom Farmers Guild for the $5. I appreciate you with the little dance. I don't know if we're supposed to. I don't know if we're supposed to sing because they're dancing, or we're supposed to dance, or what's going on there. But that's super dope. I like it.
Yeah.
I also feel like there's the aspect of people just wanting to be a part of something.
Right.
Right. And like that makes you feel whole, the cult. Right. And that's Leah Remini. I don't know how to pronounce her name. She did a podcast with Joe Rogan that I
saw
watched.
that.
And she was talking about Scientology and the reason she got out of it. She's like, I mean, these people are forced, that they're not in the clear if they don't snitch on you if you had a drink or you took a sip or you spoke poorly about a learning in Scientology or about Scientology if you're going against the beliefs, right? Like you are literally being watched like a hawk. Every one of the decisions you make. She's an actress, comedian, like even her jokes, right? They're being criticized and they bring you in a room and they talk to your whole family. Right. You know what I mean? It was wild, like to think. But the reason she was in it was because she was a part of something.
Community.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. And now that to me it's a little too much what they got going on there. But one of my big criticisms against the atheist worldview is that there's an emptiness for a lot of, there's a lot of atheists out there that are like, I don't believe in anything and I'm fine with it. Okay. That's cool. Be a good person. I'll be like, I don't care. Like, who cares? Like, not all atheists are like eating babies or doing like crazy shit.
Are there some atheists that eat babies?
There might be.
For sure. Historically.
But my criticism for that is that there's a lot of people who feel like they belong to their church or their whatever they grow up in, and it brings them fulfillment. There's nothing you can say to me to tell me that that's wrong. When someone is a part of something, that's a real thing. That community. That's one of the things I like to really emphasize is that a lot of these traditions, religions, cults, whatever you want to call them, bring people to be a part of something better than themselves. It gives them a purpose. Can you really say that can you really argue against that? Like she was saying, like, why did I stay that long? I was a part of something. And then even in her experience, it was completely toxic and crazy. And they were forcing her to do shit that she wasn't supposed to do. But that thing was so strong that it kept her along that long. Now, to me, I like to see more of like, you know, whatever it is that you're into, that environment of like being a part of some bigger than yourself. That's like part of like the reason to live in a sense. You need some sort of community to be a part of, or else what's the point of living? If you're just imagine just living by yourself and having no friends for 70 years. What's the point? You have to have something to be a part of.
Yeah.
You know?
So what about the people who are Luciferians?
I know a lot of them.
What is your thoughts on them?
They're misunderstood. So there are some, you know, there are like Satanists that are like just like trying to be edgy. They're not serious. They don't believe in anything. Most of them are atheists. But there are legitimate Luciferian who believe in the old Roman tradition of Lucifer, which was never synonymous with Satan. If you go back to the original sources of Lucifer, he wasn't the same as Satan. Lucifer was a Roman god who brought the dawn every morning, who brought salvation when it was dark. Every morning, Lucifer would come with his light and give you light for your day. That was all Lucifer did. So when there's Luciferians, there are Luciferians who gravitate towards that particular being as the being who brings the dawn when your life is dark. And so they're very misunderstood. They get you hear, I'm a Luciferian, and you think there must be anti-Christian, they must be demonic. But really, they don't have anything to do with Christianity. They don't even believe in Christianity. They just believe in some sort of salvific deity who brings the next day when things are not going good.
But what's the teachings in all of that?
The teaching is more or less that things can get better no matter what. And sometimes you have to be the person to bring the dawn. Sometimes other people are in trouble and you got to be the Lucifer to bring the dawn. Lucifer literally means in Latin, light bearer. Luci means light in Latin. Farer means bearer. That's it. It doesn't mean Satan. Doesn't mean devil. Doesn't mean demon. Lucifer literally means light bringer. And that's it. If you look at the old Latin poems that predate Christianity, before any Roman Republican even knew what Christianity was, before they even knew what Judaism was, they talked about Lucifer as this God who brought the dawn every morning, who brought day to the nighttime. Right. And so there are Luciferians today who are trying to bring back the old definition of Lucifer in a synchronized way of combining the old traditions of Greco-Roman religion.
So what's the knock on Lucifer or Luciferianism? Is it just because it's anything but Christ?
Well,
or anything but
it's because what happened was after the 5th century, Christians started to fundamentalist Christians, not just, I'm not going to knock Christians, fundamentalist Christians, the ones who are just like taking it too far, started to attribute paganism as demonic,
as just anti-us.
Yes. So what they did was they merged Satan with Lucifer as one being, which it never was. I'll tell you how it got that way. There's a verse in Isaiah 14, where the English translation that you might read today will say Lucifer fell from the sky. How great was Lucifer until he fell. So later on, Christians will say, that's Lucifer falling from heaven. That's an angel. That's Satan falling from heaven. But if you actually go back to the Hebrew, it says Hallel ben Shachar, which means it means like morning star. How great you were. The king of Babylon was like this. It's talking about the king of Babylon falling from grace and becoming a bad king. And it's comparing him to how great this light bringer was. It's a mistranslation of the text.
Oh, okay.
So Lucifer was never supposed to be in Isaiah at all. What happened was Latin Christians in the 5th century couldn't read Hebrew, and they thought that it meant Lucifer fell from heaven. I'm going to challenge you and you, anyone who watched this, go and find me a Bible book anywhere in the New Testament or Old Testament that talks about Lucifer falling from heaven. It's not there. It's only in that Isaiah 14 passage. And if you read the whole chapter of Isaiah 14, it's about the king of Babylon who fell from his high spot, and they compare him to how great Lucifer was. So it's actually saying good things about Lucifer and bad things about the king of Babylon.
Right.
It'd be like me saying, Miggs, you were so great. You were like LeBron James, and then you fell.
Yeah.
Did I say anything bad about LeBron James?
No.
No. That's what it's doing. It's saying you were so good. You were like this figure, and you fell. The only person who's getting knocked,
and now you're like J.R. Smith.
Right. The only person who's getting knocked in Isaiah 14 is the king of Babylon, not Lucifer. Lucifer was this tradition of the light bringer, even to the Israelites, just like the Romans were. But somehow in the medieval times, these Christians who couldn't read Hebrew mistranslated this text, and Lucifer became synonymous with Satan. And then to this day, people think Lucifer is evil. It's not.
I just learned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now I want to bring Orlando back on. You know what I mean? Because we had the argument with Orlando Brown, and I'm like, fuck Lucifer. Fuck
I promise you that I can prove this to you. If you and I were to sit down and I'll show you the Hebrew and the Greek and the English, I can prove this to you right now.
I believe it. You don't need to convince me.
I'm that confident.
You know how Woody looked at me, and I thought Woody was about to kill me in that moment. He's like, play with me, see what happens. Right. That's how I felt. He just looked at me.
I actually can read Hebrew and Greek right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Fire.
I actually learned
how long did it take you to learn that?
I learned Hebrew
Toughie.
I learned how to read Hebrew. I'm not good at it. I can't speak it fluently, but I can. If you give me a Hebrew text right now, I can read out the words and sound it out, and I could probably pick out certain words that are in there. And if not, I can look up the words and just find out what the rest of it means.
It's a tricky one because it's just like the old.
It's a different alphabet.
Yeah,
and it goes right to left. But I know the alphabet. I can read it. I can read the words, and I can I can figure out what it means if I have to. Greek, I'm a little better at Greek. I can actually read Greek, and I actually know a little. I actually have some good vocabulary in Greek. It took me.
So you must be pretty excited about going to Greece.
I was just thinking that.
I can't wait. Yeah. I got a friend of mine who's bringing me there who is even better at Greek than I am. He's teaching me Greek right now. We're gonna go. But long story short is I'm so confident that the idea of Lucifer as is being synonymous with Satan is wrong. I can prove it to anybody. Just putting that out there.
All right, I have a question for you then.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on the prosperity gospel and the way it's being used right now in American Christianity?
That's one of those Christian sects that I think is problematic.
But I feel like, and where I'm coming from is
I hate that word problematic, but I just used it. Yeah.
Where I'm coming from is that as an engineer, I work for a bunch of different houses of worship.
Yeah.
So I've done churches, synagogues, black churches, white churches, and this prosperity gospel has seeped into American religion.
What is
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, what it is basically like the idea that God wants you to be rich.
Right.
And to do that, what you do is you quote unquote sow a seed. So in other words, it's taking the principle of tithing and turning it on its head.
Right.
Wants who to be
It completely contradicts the sayings of Jesus himself, who said, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to go to heaven." Now, if you told a prosperity gospel person that verse, they've heard it a million times. They can criticize. They have a response for that. But it's not just that verse. It's constantly throughout the Gospels. Jesus is constantly saying the first will be last and the last will be first. The meek shall inherit the kingdom of heaven. It doesn't mean you have to be poor. It means that you shouldn't boast about your riches. That's what it means. And the prosperity gospel is basically saying that you should boast about your riches.
Worldly possessions.
Yeah. That's how you measure how godly you are.
That's wild.
And that's wild to me.
That is pretty wild.
Yeah.
No, it's big business. I mean, that is in all the churches now.
People want it.
I've seen pastors do stuff like, well, in order for so and so to get rich, we need somebody to donate $1,000, and they'll call out crazy amounts of money.
They pressure the whole.
Where do I
church.
go?
But
I'm trying to get some thousands.
you
Take any mega church, it's all there. Any mega church by the Glades, any mega church where the building is huge, they're usually telling people that they need to donate for a specific reason. We need a building fund. We need this. We need that. And I don't know. To me, it feels like that's very prevalent. I don't know. In your research, how do you feel? I feel like it's turning between that and the fact that there's supposedly now more of a focus on Jesus versus God. Like, I think that the American Christianity's all denominations, Southern Baptist, whatever, it's something else.
They've created an environment where they're pressuring people to think that the more you donate, the better you are as a Christian.
Exactly.
And that way they can get fat and wealthy. And then they're making you think, oh, you're the one who gave 10,000 last year. You're the best Christian. They don't care. But they pressure the people that are watching the service, whoever gives the most money, and those people will show up there and show the whole congregation how much money they gave. And then it becomes a competition. And then it just becomes who's giving the most money.
Right.
That's a whole nother. That to me is like, if anything's satanic, it's that. Because you just created an environment of people who are going to suck up to you the most, and just for your own good. Kenneth Copeland, can you play clips on here? Or is it going to be too much?
I mean, we could play clips, but
You ever heard of Kenneth Copeland?
Nah.
I've had.
Do you look up Kenneth?
I know the Kenneth Copeland. I know.
Yeah, can we play one
Woody?
clip of Kenneth Copeland? If you just type in Kenneth Copeland,
Yeah, right.
if you just type in Kenneth Copeland,
We don't have. I don't think we don't have the ability to pump
show
the
it?
clip in,
Okay.
but we could play it and then we could do it while we go back and
Yeah.
and
Yeah, we can see the audio. What clip?
Because everybody who's watching live, this is it. Once it's gone, and then it'll be put back up on a certain day. We'll put it up on the Revo
yeah.
platform.
Oh, is that
so
what
it'll
you're
be
gonna
on
do?
all- yeah.
That's a good
So
idea.
The people that are
Guy's the
watching
OG.
That's
it,
the guy.
yeah.
He's the
that
OG.
dude. He's created an environment. He didn't start it either. He's a generation
He's
behind.
pre-Joel
It goes
Osteen.
behind. It goes back to the 1900s. That dude is in a church that has created an environment.
Him and his wife, right?
Whoever gives the most money is the best. And it's all going to him. He's got private
Texas,
jets. He's got
yeah.
mansions all over the country. Play any clip of him.
He's super famous.
I'm
You've all
not
seen
kidding.
this guy.
I'm so confident of how bad of a dude he is. Go ahead and play any clip of
You've
him.
seen this guy public television, 3 a.m.
He's so bad. You can just if you're. I know you guys are good people. You guys are all going to recognize how demonic this dude actually is just by listening to him for 1 second. Watch.
Yeah.
Watch.
You know what I'll do? I'll play it on the phone.
Could you do that?
Yeah. So you just
dude-
want me to play anything?
Let me see the first one that comes up.
Go ahead.
He's notorious.
Kenneth Copeland.
It's wild that Woody has the same name. By the
He
way,
could be named after this guy.
Here it is, right here.
was like-
Right here.
this
This
was-
one.
That'd be hilarious.
that would be
That's
hilarious.
him getting pressed by CNN or whatever, some interviewer girl, and
All
just
right.
listen to what he says about his private jet. You're gonna blow.
All right, put the
famous clip.
Yeah,
Bluetooth
Yeah.
on. Let me see.
This is crazy.
Let me get that. Boom.
I wish they could see it. His
We
face.
can edit
First,
this in. All right.
yeah. First off, whoa. First off, his voice is wild.
It is. Just hearing his voice is gonna
You
creep
don't
your.
want to fly commercial.
I can hear it
Why
good.
have
That's
you
good.
said that you won't fly commercial. You said that it's like getting into a tube with a bunch of demons. Why do you think that?
No, listen to me just a second. Not the people. The main reason is because of the need. If I flew commercial, I'd have to stop 65% of what I'm doing. That's really me.
He said,
Isn't it true that
he's
you
a
want to fly
private jet.
commercial so that you can fly in luxury? How much money did you pay for Tyler Perry's Gulfstream jet, for example?
Well, for example, that's really none of your business. But
Isn't it the business of your donors?
listen, I paid. You kind of caught me off guard here, okay?
Certainly. Well, if you like to come out
Looks
here,
like
I'd like
he's
to
about
give you
to
a
choke her.
chance to
Right.
to catch your breath and have a conversation. We don't want to catch you off guard.
I love Inside Edition. You got to get this now. Hey, you listen to me? My wife thinks Inside Edition is, oh, yeah. Now, thank you, Lord. Help me. Let me pray this.
Well, let me just ask you a really simple question. A lot of people think it's unbecoming for a preacher to live a life of luxury
She's giving him a
and to
chance.
fly around in
Right.
private jets. What's your response to that?
Very simple. It takes a lot of money to do what we do. We have brought over 100, let's see, the latest figures just came out, 122 million people to the Lord Jesus Christ. Let me give you another example. Last May, I was scheduled for Lagos, Nigeria. That's a long ways. I had a week off, and I was scheduled for Peru. And I prayed about it, and I thought, I'm not missing that dedication in Jerusalem. Without the airplane that we have, that I bought from Tyler Perry, and I didn't pay anywhere.
He bought it from Tyler Perry.
The greatest guy. He made that airplane so cheap for me, I couldn't help but buy it.
Well, my question then.
Yo,
Okay.
First
all right,
off, this dude is wild.
Right. That's what I'm saying. All you gotta do
Yeah.
is listen for 1 second and you get it. You
Yeah.
get the
He's
point.
huge.
But people listen to that guy and for some reason they go, I'm gonna give him my money. Would you give him your money? I'm
No.
not giving that dude my money.
Not that guy.
That's
There's no wisdom in that.
that dude looks crazy. Though.
He looked nuts.
like
a
the
cartoon
way
character.
he gazes at people.
Do you know-
it's wild. That if I were to say Satan,
Yeah.
that guy.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
They in his church that they go to, they do this thing where people start acting, they start feeling the Holy Spirit, they start wigging out, they start like speaking in tongues, and they start like saying random whatever comes to their whatever comes to their mind, they start wigging out. That's their church. They do that.
And that's the crazy thing. Like the quote unquote speaking the tongues ain't really speaking the tongues from the Bible.
No.
Like the Bible, when it says speaking the tongues, it means like you, Kato, who don't know Latin, start speaking Latin fluidly.
Yeah,
right.
that's what the church fathers said, that it really just meant people that speak in different languages for each other are understanding each other.
Right, not that made up shit saying shalom, blah, 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 blah.
But there was an ancient tradition in the Greco-Roman world where people did start shouting out random shit and whatever came to their mind, and that's where I think those traditions get it from. So there's a little bit of both.
That's creepy.
It is creepy. It's like demonic. It's like demonic. It's crazy. It's like
So then what do you believe about the people who believe in Satan?
I think those type of people have experienced a certain type of life that made them look differently at maybe someone like that, or another preacher somewhere. Maybe someone got a bad experience at church and it led them down a path that caused them to become a Satanist. And that's what they feel like they're following. It's more of a rebellious nature. That's what it is.
So
by the
what
way,
is
Satan in Hebrew means the accuser or the opposer. Lucifer doesn't mean that. Lucifer means light bringer. Satan means accuser, the accuser, or the opposer. So those people who are following Satan are opposing Christianity or opposing Judaism. In the book of Job, which is thought to be the oldest book in the Old Testament, not Genesis. People think Job is actually older because the book of Job doesn't mention Israel, doesn't mention Abraham. It only mentions the land of Uz, which is all the way in Persia. And some people think it predates the Iron Age or whatever. I don't even know what they say about that. But the book of Job, Satan appears, and he's not an antithesis to God. In the book of Job, have you read the book of Job?
No.
Job, in the book of Job, Satan appears in the first chapter of the book of Job. He appears in the assembly of God, of Elohim, of the Elohim. And Satan is there with 72 sons of God. And Satan's one of them. And Satan says to God, I'll make a bet with you. Your servant, Job, he's a good dude. I respect him. But if you took away his farm, you took away his wife, if you took away his family, you took away all his wealth, he's going to curse you. Because the only reason why he loves you is because you gave him so much. So God says to Satan, I'll take you up on that bet. That's the book of Job. It's God and Satan are making a bet against one of the people on earth. So Satan in the beginning wasn't this evil antithesis to God. That's sort of more of a Christian idea of Satan. The Jewish idea of Satan was just one of these. He's like a district attorney. He's a prosecutor. He's there to test everybody. He has a purpose. Doesn't that make more sense though? God is in control. If God's in control of everything, he could just make Satan die right now. Right. Do you really think he needs help from Satan?
The auditor.
If you're the Almighty God, with all knowing, almighty, all powerful, and you can't get rid of Satan, you can't get rid of hell. No, you put that there. That's part of your design. Satan was designed to be the district attorney to prosecute people and to test people. That's what he was there for. That's the original Satan.
And it's crazy because like in the book of Job, like if you go through the whole story, God kind of terrorizes Job after that.
He does. It's not Satan that does it.
Yeah.
It's God that does it.
I told you Orlando was going to be good for this one.
Yeah. No, that's right. In the book of Job, it's not Satan that takes away Job's farm.
Right.
It's not Satan that takes away his wife. It's not Satan that takes away his wealth. God does it.
And it takes away his kid.
Takes away his whole. He gives him leprosy. He kills him. All his whole family. He kills his family. He kills his all of his lineage? Animals for his farm, and then destroys his crops. He's down to nothing. And Job is like, I still praise God. That's the whole point of the book.
Right.
The whole point of the book is that even Job, when he was cursed to nothing, never cursed God. And Satan thought he would do it. But the book doesn't end with Satan getting cast aside in the fire or anything. The book is like, Satan, you were wrong. It was a good guess, but you were wrong. It doesn't. That's it.
Good game.
Yeah, it was a good bet, but you lost.
And it's wild because if you think about it, that's kind of the opposite of the prosperity gospel.
It is. Exactly. Job is down to nothing. He's not wealthy. This guy knows his shit. This guy knows his shit. No, they couldn't have said it better than that. It's the exact opposite of the prosperity gospel.
Wow.
You might lose some shit in your life, and it's going to happen. What are you going to do about it? That's what the Stoics. That's why I love the ancient Stoics, the Romans. They're called the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius was one of them.
Coming back with a vengeance these days, boy.
Yeah, people like Stoicism.
Oh,
The
yeah.
idea of Stoicism is that things are going to happen to you in your life, and you have
do.
what if you're going to cry like a baby? What did you accomplish?
Right.
You don't. Nothing changes from you whining about something that happened to you.
I love how the audio popped up. What changed? It said nothing.
that was
It's
crazy.
you. Yeah.
That was God.
Go.
No, but the Stoics are absolutely right, and I've gotten when it comes to like me learning from ancient people, the Stoics are the best
So much in there.
because they really the other day I lost my keys. I had no car keys. I had all my keys on my one lanyard like an idiot. My car keys, my house keys, and my mailbox keys, and I lost them all, and I had nothing. And I remember I was so mad, I was freaking out, and I just thought of the Stoics, and I was like, "There's nothing I can do.
What are we gonna do about it?
Nothing I do." And I just stopped, and I just started looking for them. And then I ended up having to pay for new keys, and that was it. And that was the end of it.
Move on.
I bought new keys. I spent money. I lost money. Who cares? It's over with.
Yeah.
And then I just moved on. And that's the Stoic way.
Yeah.
That's, by the way, the Christians borrow a lot from the Stoics. If you read Jesus's parables, he's very Stoic. He's very like, things are going to happen to
Cut
you.
dry.
That's where the turn the other cheek comes from.
Turn the other cheek. That's a Stoic move right there.
Mushroom Farmers Guild is creeping me out, right? He just keeps writing stuff and then retracting the message. Why are you doing that?
Come on, man. Leave it up there.
Yeah, like why?
Stand by what
it's
you
like
believe in.
No
everything
transcripts.
he's written he keeps taking off.
I think he's fact checking. Like he's typing it and then Googling it and checking it.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it. Oh, let me erase that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just typing away or something.
Right.
I don't know. And then there's this guy, Scott, on here who's really challenging you a lot. He's
What's he saying?
He won't
Give
say
me
anything bad about
Yo,
Christians.
I'm not scared of any
He won't
challenges.
say anything bad about Christians.
Me?
Show
Yeah.
yourself,
Oh, I
Scott.
criticize Christianity all the time.
We just talked about the
I
prosperity
just
gospel,
criticized the prosperity gospel. I just said the miracles aren't real. I mean, what else do you want me to be? I look. I'm not gonna be who you want me to be. So I'm telling you what I believe. I'm telling you my own thoughts. So sorry.
It's wild how you say, bro. Also, hi G, love your channel.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I know. They're talking to Neal.
Yeah.
They said, I thought y'all. No, we're not deleting anybody's messages. I promise you.
Yeah. No, he's taking that down. But like I was saying though, things are gonna happen to you. There's nothing you can do about it.
Word.
So, let me change that. You can do stuff about it, but the only whatever is in your control.
Right. That's your
Do
solace.
what is your control. If you lose your keys, you got to buy new keys. That's it. Don't start smashing. I used to break.
Oh my!
When I was a
God.
young kid, I used to put holes in my wall all the time. I feel sorry, Dad, because I used to do this all the time.
Such a
I would
boy
get,
thing
I
to
would
do.
get in such
Such a boy thing to
Yeah,
do.
I would break holes
Can
in
I
my
say
wall.
it? You know who does that more than anybody else?
Who?
White people.
I used to do this all the time. Man. I used to punch holes in my wall and then regret it later. And then I realized later, the thing happened to me. Me punching a hole in that wall made things worse. Didn't
Yep.
make things better. I didn't feel better after that.
You didn't control your reaction.
You can only do so much, and that's it. And you gotta accept it. That's the way. And that's why the Stoics are like wizards to me, man. The wizards. I fucking love the Stoics.
Yeah.
If there's
I'm not
anything,
gonna lie, I really used to get very upset when I lost things.
yeah.
You know, I always say when you lose control of possession, you lose control of mind.
Yeah.
Right. That's why when you see the men or women who are in a controlling relationship and they lose that relationship, they melt down. They lose control of their mind. Right. Like if you lose your wallet has everything that you really need in there. And you really like you want to get like you rely on this wallet daily,
Right.
you lose your mind. Where's my wallet? And then you start accusing people. You took my wallet. You took
You
my
start
wallet.
thinking conspiracy thoughts.
Yeah.
Somebody broke in and stole it.
Yep. And that's
like-
what happens when people lose a relationship, when they're in a controlling relationship. The people who melt down after relationships, okay, they are some controlling ass individuals. That's the only reason they're melting down, because they lost control of something that they possessed.
Yep.
Right.
I heard a quote. It was a closed fist is a closed mind. So if you're over here, just you're already out of the right mind space. You're not thinking correctly.
And don't get me wrong, there's times where you got to defend, your family or something, yourself.
Oh, word.
But I agree with that statement though. If you're just going to attack somebody because they said something to you or sports game or
You
something.
voted for who?
I want to split my audience. I want to split my audience. Actually, I stayed home this month.
Yeah, that's
I
the
did. I really did. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I live in Florida anyway, so I was like, they're gonna my state's voting for Trump, and I just was like,
It's already there.
But you didn't go vote yes on 3. That's what we needed.
No,
we could have had the 60%.
I heard that's wrong.
I'm not kidding. I feel bad about that. So let's get into this real quick, because our state in Florida was I thought everyone said it was going to happen by a landslide, was going to legalize marijuana, and then I found out after the election that Mark, or what's his name, this governor,
DeSantis.
DeSantis changed the rule and made it had to be over 60 to 40%.
No, it's been like that for a while.
Okay, it wasn't him. Okay, I heard the wrong thing then.
Anytime there's like an amendment, it can't just be a majority. It has to be an overwhelming majority.
So 61% had to vote yes.
60%.
And what was it, 57 or something?
57.
And so when I found that out, I was like, I stayed home. I felt bad because weed should be legal.
I mean, it kind of is, but not really.
I know a girl who's in the marijuana industry, and she was like, it's actually a trap that we're not supposed to vote it in this way just yet. Something about that. There was like a deeper thing to it.
But I don't know. I mean,
I'm sure you're right.
We were talking about the actual amendment. Like, if you went and vote, the amendment's written actually kind of vague. Like, hey, we're gonna try this out. It's gonna give us a shitload more money. We might have some more arrests. We might have this. We might have that. We're gonna see how it goes. And like, I think Vegas is a good example. Like, Vegas has legal weed, but you can't smoke in public.
Right.
So there's different things that
govern the use and the abuse.
But they got to test it out first to see what happens.
Yeah, get some more data.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Trump.
I wanted to get into politics.
Yeah. Trump is a very outspoken guy when it comes to Christianity, when it comes to religion in general. And he believes that we should be, pushing religion into schools. What do you think about religion in schools?
So
you think it's like, and I ask you this because do you think they're too young to?
Yeah, I don't think it should be pushed in schools unless you're going to teach all religions. So if you're going to teach Christianity in schools, teach Greek, Dionysian stuff. Teach about the Epicureans. Teach about Platonism. Teach about the Pythagoreans. Teach about the Orphics. Teach about the Buddhists. Teach about I think they should have it. Whoa, they should have it.
No. Do you hear stuff in the background? Yeah. Is that why you did that? I'll be here.
Like music or something?
Yeah. Oh, it was a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fucking me up.
I just heard it. Yeah, I didn't know if it was
tripping me out, bro.
Like somebody's watching the TV.
Yeah, that's gone now.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know.
What I was saying was,
they try to turn everything down.
If they're going to teach Christianity in school, they should teach religion 101 for everyone to understand how we got Christianity. Not just Christianity by itself, but how do we get from paganism to Christianity in the world? People should learn that. Trump, I don't think he actually is really serious about pushing Christianity. I think he was doing that, and this is just me being real. I think he was doing that to get the Christian vote. Because if you look at the last 4 years when he was actually in 2016 and 2020, as soon as he got into office, he sort of backed off the Christian stuff and started worrying about other real shit. Like, you know what I mean? I think that's what's going to happen again. So if you're a Christian, you voted for Trump because you thought he was going to do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know,
it really is how it works, right?
It is. I don't even necessarily blame him for doing that. But here's the thing about when I think about this election. I noticed something that's going on right now. People vote in their interests. So union workers will vote Democrat because the unions get paid by taxes.
Right.
Whether it be a firefighter or a brick worker.
I'm a unionized worker, so I'm with you on that.
So you know that the Democrat Party is going to help you more than the Republican Party. Now, people who have small business owners, they're going to vote Republican because they're going to lower their taxes. They're going to deregulate the market. They're going to make it easier for a small business to thrive. And then there's people who are gaslighting everybody in between, who act like one side is the only way, and that people who vote for one side or the other are evil, demonic, greedy, they're just welfare pension people, whatever it is. People are supposed to vote in their interest. That's the point of democracy.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you can't get mad at somebody for voting in their interest. And if election goes in a certain direction, it is what it is. You got 2 more years left for the midterms and 4 more years for the next election. That's it. That's the way it is. You got to be a stoic about it.
Right.
And that's my thoughts on this election. The election was resoundingly in one direction. Yeah. People who don't understand why, or maybe you're the reason why it's like that.
I mean, I think that the Democrats had like a losing strategy in the beginning, which is that, oh my God, we can't vote for Trump. The world's going to end. Well, guess what? Trump was already president before, and the world didn't end. So you can't make the argument that he's the worst thing ever.
But I will say this, though. This is the first time in history where a president got elected who has the control of the House of Representatives, control of the Senate. It's all mostly Republican House and Senate. And he's the one who elected most of the judges.
Right, the Supreme Court. Yeah.
And then you have the majority of governors out of the 52 states who are Republican, 27 to 23. 50 states, I'm sorry. That's crazy. But it's only going to be 2 years of that. There's only so much that's going to happen. People are worried about fascism happening. Look, is there things that are going to happen quickly because he has the power to get things through? Yes. I think it's going to be immigration. I feel bad for people who are here illegally that aren't really necessarily criminals. I feel bad for those people. Yeah. I really do.
Lost in the mix.
They're lost in the mix.
Yeah.
I feel bad for people who, maybe need an abortion and they're in the wrong state. So there are certain things that I look at people and I go, look, I get it. You have a legit reason. Maybe someone's dependent on a medication and they're in a red state that cut the taxes and now all of a sudden that medication. Yeah, there's legitimate reasons to be concerned right now on what's going on. But we got to realize it's only going to be 2 years for the next midterms. And it's going to change again. The pendulum always swings back and forth.
Right.
Every 4 years.
We've kind of been somewhere similar, but it's a little longer than most people recognize. This shit kind of happened basically in 1984 with Ronald Reagan. The Electoral College was basically all red.
And look what happened in the 1990s. Bill Clinton.
Exactly. Swung the other way.
It always does that. That's just the way history always been.
So I'm just gonna say this, right? That sound in the background creeped me the hell out.
What was that?
I don't know, but I heard it a few times, right? Like I heard like sounds, but so like here's me. I'm listening. I hear it, and it's been only me the entire time. So I look over, and Kato takes his headphone off, and I'm like, whoa.
Well, because I tuned it out.
I wonder if the chat heard it.
I think it might have been a little bit of that first Copeland video, whatever his name was.
No,
you left it playing.
I started it. And stopped.
Oh, it was Oh, so you were just playing stuff in the background.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was your fault.
It was super low. Okay, it was super low.
It doesn't matter. I heard it a bunch of times, and every time I heard a little bit of silence, I'm like, Satan is here. Orlando Brown is here.
You don't understand.
No,
we got to get him over here.
No, man, that guy bothers me.
Dude,
man.
that was your biggest episode of all time. Yeah, you handled it well.
Yeah, Woody was.
By the way, anyone here for the first time that came from my channel, right after this is over, go watch his interview with Orlando Brown. And I'm telling you, you'll thank me after. It was that good. It was that good.
That is must watch.
Here's what I feel like with him, and what bothers me.
It's crazy.
There's people idolizing this guy.
Yeah,
he is a actual messed up person that relies on drugs, and he lies to people and says he doesn't use drugs. he is too far out there, and the people that believe them are just they want to. They're Satanists.
I know
right?
people. I know people like that. I have a friend like that he's all about the Hail Satan stuff, and I thought it was all a joke, and he was a good dude. But then the more I got to know this dude, he was a dark person who was self-centered, and there was something dark there.
Yeah.
So there's that I'm not gonna talk crap right now because some people watch this know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But he's like Orlando, where
Yeah.
he thinks he's like some prophet or something.
Yeah, that
he's
bothers
not.
me. Yeah,
He's
'cause
messed up.
people worship this.
Yeah, and he's
they see it and they're like,
completely-
"This is different. I like it. I'm gonna get into
he's
it."
got a following like that.
Yeah.
He gets thousands of people watching him when he's live.
Yeah,
Look, I used to
wild.
love this dude. We were friends and stuff, but then he stopped talking to me because I believed something different than he did.
Yeah,
It was like, oh, you
red
believe
flag.
it was if you
Automatic.
it was like I had to follow him fully.
he's like red flag,
Or
it's
else-
a blue flag.
Right. No, but this is the type of person who is so dogmatic about what he believes in.
Danger.
That if you don't believe in what he believes in,
bad.
he told me I needed to be purged.
All right.
That was the last time I talked to him. That was the last time I talked to him. Yeah, he said, you need to be purged. I'm going to tell you this right now. Everyone who's watching is going to know exactly who I'm talking about. So I'm just going to give it up. There's a debate, and it's not really a debate. Scholars believe that the Old Testament was written in Hebrew, translated into Greek. That's what it's true. That's what happened. There's this one PhD Greek expert who thinks it was the other way around, that the Greek came first and the Hebrew was a translation. Now, I've weighed these arguments as hard as I can because I wanted to know if he was right. I became friends with this guy. And I wanted to know if he was correct. And I weighed these arguments and I really, really gave him the benefit of the doubt. Try to find out, listen to his arguments, followed him all the way to the end. Is the Greek the original or is the Hebrew the original? And he was wrong. He's just flat wrong. There's just so much evidence that the Hebrew came first. When he found out that I believed the opposite thing as him, he told me I needed to be purged and never talk to me again.
Damn.
He sounds like a flat earther or some shit.
Yeah. Now this guy's a Greek wizard, though. He's an actual PhD. He used to be a professor. He got fired for going too hard in school. He was teaching. He was going way too
Not
hard.
accepting new information.
He got fired. Now I read the reports about when he got fired. It was like 2008 or something. He got fired from a Catholic university. He was a teacher of the Greek classics, and the students had his back. They're like he was a great teacher. So I was like, I had his back too, and I still have a lot of respect for this dude.
Right.
But he's so dogmatic.
Too far gone.
He's so far. He won't even talk to me unless I believe everything he believes. So I can't talk to someone like
No,
that.
that's good, smart.
Yeah,
Good on you.
But anyways,
So for someone who's like,
but
really,
he's like Orlando though. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
He's like Orlando. He's got a personality of that he thinks he's like a chosen one. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He thinks he's like a special person getting inspiration from the divine muse.
Have you ever seen, there's like an Indian guy who does that, and he speaks from, he's channeling some other guy, and every time you see him on video, his eyes are closed, and he says some profound shit that it's almost like, I don't know where he's sourcing that from, maybe, and he does it live. He'll speak to people in the crowd, and they'll ask him what he thinks, and he'll say, and then he, boom, and then you're like, it's impressive. It's pretty cool to watch.
He probably studies up on some things, you know?
Right.
But people like that, you got to be careful with because that cult of personality thing can be really dangerous.
Yeah, how
Because
you wield
people
that.
start following people into areas where it's just not healthy. You got to be your own person. Don't let somebody tell you what to think ever. Be your own person no matter what.
How often can you come out here?
I'm down to come out here all the time.
Yeah, because I like this.
It was like
Yeah.
a 2-hour ride. It wasn't
Yeah.
bad. We could do this once in a while.
Yeah, I think it'll be dope. Now, more about you, Neal. I'm hearing something whispering in the background.
is your Bluetooth off?
No, yeah, it is.
I'm not playing nothing.
Okay. Well, Satan's back. But now that you've gotten into all these studies and you've taken this dive in because you getting into this YouTube world and educating people, you've gone into it, right? Do you still believe in religion as you once did?
It depends on how you define religion. if you define religion as a way of life, as the ancient Romans, religio is a Latin word. It just means way of life. Then I believe in that. I believe everybody should have a religio, a way of life. And you should follow that way of life, and you should be a creature of habit. That's a good thing to do. It's healthy to be like that. It's not good to be chaotic. So a religion is a way of life. I believe in that. I don't believe in dogmatic, I am right, follow me, or you're going to hell religion. That's called dogma. And that's dogma. If you look at, I've read a lot of ancient history, and I've noticed when things fall apart in ancient history, it's because of dogma. Because people get governments or kings or whatever, senates or oligarchs, whatever it is, depending on what time period we're in, what part of the world we're in, when they start getting dogmatic and you got to believe in this version of Islam or else we're going to cut your head off. That to me is not good religion. Good religion is when you have a way of life that benefits the world. So do I believe in religion? In that definition, I do.
So if, let's say I want to dive into your world, or let's say I just want to dive into trying to truly understand our history in religion in general, who do I go to? Where do I start?
Where do you start? I would start reading ancient primary sources. Start with the Bible. Read the Bible. Read it cover to cover by yourself. Find an English translation. And then...
My bad. Can you break down what a primary source is for this internet culture that does not understand what that is?
Primary sources are ancient texts that have not been secondary, like there's not somebody telling you what it says. It's so for example, an ancient source of the ancient Greeks. Now you have to find a translation. You can't read Greek by yourself. But luckily, we live in the day and age where almost all the primary sources that have ever existed, except for like very obscure text, maybe some medical text somewhere, some random bill of sale or something. Yeah, some like random etched stone might not be inscribed, might be translated yet. But all the major, especially religious texts, are all translated in English right now. You can read them. So I would say for somebody who really wants to seek, go and read the primary sources for yourself. Go and find the English translation of the Tao, it's called the Tao Te Ching, the Taoist scripture. Go read the Bible. Go read the Bajau, which is an ancient play written in 405 BCE by a guy named Euripides in Athens. He wrote a play about Dionysos. Read that. Read accounts of Cicero. Read when Cicero writes a book called On the Nature of the Gods. He wrote it in like 50 BC or 60 BC. Read that. Start reading the ancients and what they thought about this stuff. That's where I would go. That's what I did. So I'm just telling you what I did. That's what I'm doing. I'm just relaying what I did. I started getting really, really, I did this in prison, by the way. I started getting really, what's the word?
Curious?
Curious, yeah. I started getting really curious about I read the Bible cover to cover. This first thing I did when I was in prison. Genesis, all the way to Revelation, read the whole thing. And I skipped over like law parts and like certain Psalms that were like repetitive. And I would go to the narratives and I would read the narratives. And then Jacob did this. And then Isaac did this. Jesus did that. I read all that stuff. But that's only one book. The Bible's not that big.
Right.
Once you're done with the Bible, go read something else. Go find out what the ancient worshipers of Aphrodite, go find their texts. There's a book by an author named Lucian from the 2nd century. It's called On the Syrian Goddess. It's all about Aphrodite. And he talks about her worship. There's another book by another author named Apuleius who writes about the goddess Isis. Then you can read about Osiris. There's all these sources out there. I did this. I was at Orleans prison. I was there for 18 months. And they had a big giant library there. So I would go to I would sign up for the library every week, twice a week. And I would go in there and the librarian was cool as hell. And he would order books that I wanted to read.
Fire.
So I'd be like, order whatever. And I'd be like, what's your ancient history list look like? He would tell me he would show me in the library where it all is. And I would bring back ancient history books to my cell and read it. That's how I got started.
That's how you do time, baby.
That's how I got through. That's how I got through prison.
For real. Hey, do what you got to do.
I read the Quran in there too.
Really?
Yep. That's a short one. The Quran's very short.
Yeah, I myself read the Bible when I was locked up. I wasn't there for that long, but
It doesn't take long.
well, you got nothing but time, brother.
Right.
It's that, or the news, or the newspaper, or chess or checkers.
You could do it in a couple weeks easily.
Yeah,
if you spend
man.
enough hours per night, you could do it in a couple weeks.
Well, I already thought I had my own assumptions of what that was and what it was about, and what those stories meant to me, and how it was explained to me in church on Wednesday and Sunday, and all the times that I went. So I was this was my experience reading it and interpreting it for myself.
And what didn't you feel a certain power when you read it for yourself, and then you go back to church and you hear the preacher, not to like act like you're better than the preacher or anything, but then when he starts telling the stories and you already know it and you already understand, you get it.
Because you understand the
You
context.
get it. Yeah, you already read it. You already know it.
Yeah. Plus, like, there's something that happens. The difference between an audiobook or a movie and a book. A book, when you read it, it'll tell you that a girl had red hair. In a movie, when it's shown on the screen, somebody selected a different woman with different red hair. It's the same written on paper, but the way I read it and received it and the way this person...
You interpret it your own way.
Correct. So
that's that inspiration that I talk about.
So now if and when you go to church and you've already read this story and you can hear the priest in his perspective and how he's presenting it and how he's going to use this to make logic of it, make sense of it, it's interesting to see
very crazy
what the correlations are and how
That's not how it happens.
it's very
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody will read
you will hear things and you will disagree, but it's not like in a bad way. You just go, oh, that's interesting. He thought that.
Yeah.
I thought this
Right.
instead.
Or
It's not a bad thing.
or they'll use another parable
Yeah.
to put it with it. What really captured me was like Proverbs and some of the Psalms. But
Yeah,
Proverbs,
I've always said
So
Proverbs
that's the
is
one
a
that got
great book
me.
to live
well,
on.
if you love Stoicism and you know
Stoic,
you
yeah.
like grabbing the lessons, it was more about the lessons and the instructions than it was about a man named Jesus or
Yeah.
God or
That's the thing.
you know.
In Proverbs, you'll notice Jesus in the Proverbs.
Yeah.
You'll be reading the Proverbs from the Old Testament, and then you start reading the New Testament, and you go, "This is like the Proverbs."
Yeah,
You start to see the correlation happening.
But
Because-
mind you, I'm in jail, so I'm reading Proverbs like pulling sense of this for my situation too.
Right.
I was like, damn, this is stuff that I can take with me, and even if I don't relate it to religion, these are just good rules.
Yeah.
this is just good info. This is good stuff.
It's
to have.
ancient wisdom that's been passed down from generation to generation.
Yeah. Time tested.
You can't argue against that, and that's why I tell these atheists you're right about Proverbs. Proverbs is an ancient text that people put together and said this is sacred for a reason.
Yeah.
They didn't just randomly come up with it one day. That was being passed down from generation to generation to generation, and it survived the test of time for a reason. That's why when you read it and you're going, it sounds so simple. Like you'll hear a proverb be like, get a good wife rather than a hooker or something. And you'll be like, there's like proverbs like that, and you'll be like, that sounds so simple, but it's so true. You'll be like, damn, why didn't I think of that? That's Proverbs though. It's very simple, but it's all true.
Now, religion is awesome. But the story that a lot of people are interested in now is, well, what about those aliens that everybody's seeming to confirm is real now?
That's the new frontier right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen right now because Elon Musk has literally said this. If there was aliens, I would know about it and you would know about it, and there isn't. He's dead ass about that. But then you listen to other people in the government who actually have like access to like certain files or whatever. And they go, well, maybe it's not aliens, but it's something that we can't figure out is flying in our skies and we see them all the time. You call them UAPs. And there's more reports of those than ever right now. Is it another government that's messing with us? Is it something going on? Like, I don't know. What do you think? Have you ever heard some of these stories from people in the military?
Yeah, because
They're
it's starting to come
mind-blowing.
out and all this information
They're
is starting to be
mind-blowing.
declassified,
Look,
right?
I'm a skeptic all to the heart. I always try to criticize things as much as I can. I don't believe in anything if I just hear it.
Same.
But when I hear somebody in a high-ranking military position who has no no record of ever like doing anything crazy or lying or, you know, just doing anything out of the norm. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they go, I saw a silver ball in the sky that was flying like the speed of light, going in multiple directions, and it didn't look like an aircraft. It looked like some sort of silver ball. What do you think? What do you do with that?
Well, so the way I look at it is this, and it's not to say that I don't believe that there could possibly be aliens, but I definitely believe that other governments are majorly involved in doing things, testing things out, right? Even our own government, right? They might be testing things out that they're not talking to people about. So that is something that I think is a huge influence. I think that you can't take the people who firmly believe in aliens, and I'm not saying I don't, okay? But the people who firmly believe in it, like going back to dogma, right? Like,
right.
You can't argue with them.
They just know it's there.
It's just like, no, you don't know, bro. Look at this video right here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why do you think that I have this sticker on my laptop?
You know, but you're right. Like my brain wants to tell me it's China or Russia or something, or North Korea or something. That's what my logic wants me to think. But then you go, but how are they doing something that almost looks like it defies physics? So I'm left with putting my hands up and going, I just want to know more.
Yeah.
I just find it hard to believe that we're the only planet alive and well and making fucking podcasts and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Like especially when we look out,
choosing our clothes every day. Like,
when we look out in the solar system, there's nothing else.
Nothing.
Zero.
Nothing for all time prior to.
It's crazy.
We are the peak.
We're the Goldilocks.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? So
true.
You know,
somebody said the pilot was on LSD. Thoughts crossed my mind.
Project.
The government has light speed technologies. Third Eye Mafia. Thank you again. I believe so. I believe that there's a lot of technology that they're not going to sit there and talk to us about. And I also think that a lot of this information that could be declassified is meant to trick us a certain way. Like, it's like, okay, well, too many people know about this. Let's misguide them a little bit so they don't know exactly what's going on. Because listen, the American government won't want to give away secrets to the Chinese government, to the Russian government. They're not gonna want to give away those secrets. So when the people are asking, oh, we declassified this information. Okay, here goes what we're gonna tell you. You know, so how do we know?
You almost want to think there's some sort of psyop going on where they're doing it strategically to trick another government.
Mm-hmm.
To go, we found aliens. What did you guys find?
Yeah.
Just to like lure something out of them, maybe. Because like, you're right. Why would you just tell the world about something this immense?
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. If this was true, you would think they would hide this stuff. But they're not. I agree with you. It makes me think that they're doing it for some reason to sort of misdirect people.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're trying to, this is another thing I think about. Maybe they're trying to get you to look at this so that you don't look at this. Mm-hmm. There's something going on over here. Look over here, aliens, and there's something over here that you're not looking at.
Yeah.
And that's what I think about that too.
Oh, like $31 billion missing from the Pentagon or something like that.
Yeah. Right.
Oh.
What campaign money, right?
Right.
Yeah. Something like that. What about superior life forms in the ocean?
That's
not just conscious, but self-aware, as vast as the
we
ocean
don't even
is.
know about our own ocean.
I'd like to start there.
Because think about this, right? Down in the Mariana Trench, they thought there's no way life could survive down there because of the pressure. Like if you got sent down there right now in your condition, your skeleton would implode because of the pressure. But then they get down there and they find life down there that somehow can survive the pressure because they adapted to it.
Yes.
So the idea that you have to be in certain conditions to live goes out the window now. Mm-hmm. Now as long as you adapt to the conditions is how you live.
And considering the fact that all things of life, with life, require water.
Right.
And the amount of water that we require.
Right.
And just, there's not more life in the water? I don't know. I don't know.
There's one of the ancient Greek philosophers. His name was Thales. He lived in like 570 BCE. This is back in the day. He's so famous because he guessed that all life came from water, and he's damn near right. He just had a premonition one day. Everything came from water.
A little strange.
And now all of a sudden people are like, well, you might be right to that. Like all human life is like 85% water in their bodies and stuff.
Fucking wild.
Yeah, it's the same proportion as the Earth. Like it's crazy.
In the same proportion of the earth, right?
That's fucking wild.
It's crazy.
Almost by design.
Yeah.
It's fucking trippy. What blows my mind is that nobody knows. Did we all just have consciousness at the same time and we all clean slate, like nothing on the PS1 card, the memory card, you know what I'm saying? Like we all just started with we're all here now. What do we do with this?
I did a video on the concept of immortality, but also consciousness. And that like the story of Adam and Eve to me isn't literally there was a guy and a girl that were placed here and then Adam's rib got pulled out and made a woman. I don't think that happened. But what I think it represents is humans at some point in the evolutionary path became conscious of what we were doing. And so like, for example, I said this earlier in the podcast, but like other animals, like a fish, for example, a fish is floating through the pond and they're not thinking about the grand scheme of life. They're not thinking about their cousins passing away last week.
Right.
They forgot about it. Their lifespan is very short. Their memory is very short. They're not conscious. But humans are cursed. We are cursed with the knowledge of death. We think about our mortality all the time. It's a curse. That is like Adam and Eve taking a bite of the tree of knowledge and being cursed with the knowledge of good and evil. That's what that means. We are cursed with that. Now, it makes us smart. We have knowledge. We can do things. We can start fires. We can make buildings. We can do all types of things. We can create weapons and we can, store knowledge in libraries. But we're stuck with the curse of knowledge of our mortality that no other animal has. No other species has that. That's a really crazy double sword, isn't it?
Yeah. I assumed it came with the creation of like a mirror or like the first reflection, I guess. The first time you saw it and you're like, oh shit, there's something there. Like you ever see a dog find themselves in a mirror
and they're like, what? Yeah, it's like that.
It's like a little bit of that. And then they say agriculture gave us the time to ponder. So we could spend more time thinking about these frivolous things. What is the true meaning of life? Because prior to that, we could only consider and think about existence
the
and
next
surviving.
Food. Yeah.
Kill, fuck, drink, kill, fuck, drink. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. But there's so many different directions, so many different pieces of information, so many theories.
And think about the Garden of Eden's a garden, agriculture. So they're in a garden. There's agriculture.
Abundance.
It's already there, and all of a sudden they gain consciousness. You just figured out. The Garden of Eden. You just figured it out.
What blows my mind is all of these theories, and nobody knows. Nobody ever knew.
Right.
Everybody had a thought of a theory. This is what I believe, and based on this and based on that, what we can put together. But nobody knows. There's no proof. There's no finite definition of. I'm using all these words. I'm running out.
No, you're right.
Nobody gets it. Like, is there a time when we find out?
But maybe I was gonna say maybe that's not the point.
That's what I was saying. I don't think we're meant to know everything.
Maybe the point is to have the discussion. The point is to have the actual human experience of pondering it, because that's what separates us from the fish or the dog or whatever.
So is that like protecting us from ourselves type of thing? Like
it's
like
kind of
it's
like
better if we don't know.
Well, it's like if we knew, then there wouldn't be a purpose to even the journey itself.
Why strive?
Like the fact that we don't know means we're always striving to find out. We're looking for that gnosis in a way. And like you're right. Why don't we know? We don't. We knew it's and as soon as we figure out something else, it begs a new question.
Right.
Once we discover what causes lightning, then we want to know what causes the thing that causes lightning, or what causes the planets to.
That's the human.
Yeah. So you're always uncovering one thing, and then once you uncover the next thing, you got to uncover
There's more.
There's more. It's never over.
My mother had this saying that that death is satisfaction. So you're never really going to be satisfied until you die. And when you die, you should be satisfied because you did everything you can in your life. So it's the never-ending journey of trying to learn or be more or do more.
I've heard people say that for someone who has been given someone who dies and passes away into immortality is someone who accepts their death and is content with the life they lived.
Yeah.
Rather than wanting to hang on to life for longer, something's wrong. If you're on your deathbed and you're wanting to hold on for longer, you didn't do it right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Or you're not at peace.
Yeah.
Speaking of deathbed, there's a phenomenon where people who never were religious or never believed in God suddenly, right at the end, give their life to God. And
that makes sense to me.
Like, is that the making peace, the last attempt at?
I think once you're at that spot and you know what's happening and you have no choice but to face your mortality, I think that's a natural reaction.
Is it a survival thing? Like
it could be that, but it also could be some way of putting closure on what the hell this reality is. Why is there the question that always plagues me?
All of this, you know?
Why is there something rather than nothing?
Right.
That's the question that no one has ever answered. Why is there something rather than nothing? Like it's such a trippy thing to think about. You can go crazy thinking about it. I really can.
Yeah, I'm sure. Have you tried like psychedelics and stuff like that?
I had a huge phase of doing DMT a lot. When I was like from 2014 to like 2017, I want to say.
Are you just free balling, or is this like a guided experience?
I used to make it.
Holy.
I used to make it in my apartment, and I used to do it all the time. And it was just something that I was doing a lot. I talked about it before. I've had some crazy experiences on it. I told this story on my channel where one time I did DMT and I broke through. It's called a breakthrough when something happens when you just end up in another realm. Yeah, it's like an epiphany. And I met this divine deity. It looked like he had multiple heads that were spinning, and he had multiple arms, like a Hindu god.
Yeah.
And he was sitting Indian style, and he floated up to me, and there was smoke around him. Ooh. And it was like flashing lights, but planets that were orbiting him.
Whoa.
And it was like lightning flashing everywhere. And I had like a telepathic conversation with this thing. And then I came back to normal because DMT only lasts 5 minutes. And once that 5 minutes is up, you're back to normal.
That's fucking
ayahuasca is DMT that's made in a tea form, and it lasts 8 hours. I don't know how they actually know how they make it, but I've never done it that way. But I've done it the fast way.
Long time.
It's only the DMT 5-MAO is only 5 minutes. And it hits you, and you blast off, and you come right back down.
That's what Landon said. You blast off.
Yeah,
I don't want to blast off.
No, it's scary.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm out of it.
DMT is scary, dude. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, definitely not for me.
It's scary.
Not for me either.
So what about shrooms? Mushrooms.
Shrooms is chill. I used to go to music festivals a lot.
Okay.
Back with my ex, we used to travel to Ohio and stuff. We used to do music festivals. We used to take shrooms, and shrooms they last a long time, but they're nowhere near as close as powerful as DMT.
First time I tried shrooms, I was by myself, and everybody said that's not how you're supposed to do it.
Right.
But I figured that was the safest way to do it. I just didn't want to be out of character.
How was it?
Too many people. It was great. I took
have a good trip.
I took a modest dose, and like I was just seeing what it was. Like I remember sitting at the crib in my couch. I remember vividly, and I was looking at my hand, and I could zoom in to the grooves and the fingerprints on my hand. And I'm holding up my hand and I'm looking at it, and I look over and I look at the desk, and the desk is the same size as my hand. And so I'm zooming in at the table, and it was wild. It was nuts.
Yeah, that's how it is.
And then, and they said, don't look in the mirror. What do? I looked in the fucking mirror.
3 eyes and your head is growing.
Yeah. I was like a lava lamp.
Yeah.
All in here.
And this is on shrooms?
This is on shrooms.
Yeah.
Does it hurt y'all stomach? Because am I like the only person who took shrooms and it hurts your stomach?
I took shrooms once and it was quick.
I believe
and I was
it,
out of there.
but
mushroom farmers is definitely they did send us. I was like, this is what we got. I got a mushroom farm.
Yeah.
Trigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, whenever I tried shrooms, I was always at some sort of music festival with other people. The vibe was always good. So
yeah.
the first time I saw people try shrooms, I was like a witness to it. And it was like 4 of us. We were probably 15, 16 years old. I didn't try it. They did. I was the only one who didn't. And they're like, yeah, we're going to chew them and we're going to drink orange juice and it's going to da-da-da. And we're like, okay, let's go to the golf course. So when you're on a golf course, it's like being on another planet.
It's like being, you're on nature.
Literally. And you can see the sky a little bit better. And there's these dunes. And one kid had a bad experience and he just started crying, looking for his mommy.
I've seen that happen
And we were
before.
like, bro, you can't do that. We're on the golf course. People live out here. And he's like, I just want my mommy. And from that point on, I was like, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
That's
kind of the type
we
of
went to-
person
Maybe I
I
should
am.
try cigarettes.
We
I
went to
don't know.
Ohio.
Try cigarettes.
We went to Ohio with this girl that was kind of in a bad headspace. Let's put it that way. And she did it with us, and she was the problem. She was probably like it was.
One
She
bad
was
actor
not
could
having a
ruin a
good
whole
time.
Yeah.
She was not having a good. So people had to kind of like take care of her, which what are you going to do? But it brought the vibe down. Let's put it that way. It brought
I
the
don't care
vibe
how many
down.
black lights you got.
She was saying a lot of crazy shit about her family and all this type of stuff. That,
It's like, no.
You're like, you need therapy. This ain't
you should not be on shrooms. You should not be on shrooms. Because the shrooms is like that. If you're in a good headspace, you'll have a good time. If you're not in a good headspace, don't take shrooms.
That's how I felt about ecstasy, but like shrooms, Percocets, them shits hurt my stomach. I got IBS. Like every time I take it, I'm like, yo, why the fuck do y'all like this so much? Like my stomach hurts.
Yeah, for everybody, everything's different.
Yeah,
right? Like
that's
the way
true.
your body reacts to. I feel like I'm enlightened without these things, and I'm terrified more or less. Like I like the way my brain operates. I'm terrified to tweak it. That's the reason why I stay away from a lot of the stuff I stay away from. Even when I smoke, right? Like for whatever reason, I just haven't smoked in a while, and I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? I randomly now it's like if I smoke again, I know I'm going to be extremely high. And every time I look at that beautiful pre-roll I got there from fucking Loganberry, you know what I mean? I sit there and I'm like, let me relax before I smoke this thing, because that day might be in an hour from now, but I'm going to be like thinking all sorts of creepy shit. I'm like, why? Who's playing music in the house? You know what I mean?
If I do too much weed, I can get like that too.
Yeah.
Like, weed, you gotta be careful with weed.
Edibles
It can creep
will get
on
me.
you. Weed, edibles too. Yeah.
Edibles fuck me up.
Yeah.
It'll do
like
shit,
them.
man.
Next thing you know, you're just laying on the couch all bundled up, just ready, waiting for it to go away.
You know what else fucks you up that people don't realize is the CBD edibles.
Yeah.
Like I told this story.
But once you get out
before.
of it, it feels good though.
Yeah,
Once
for
you
sure.
come out of it, you're like,
yeah. You're like, because you're like, I'm gonna make it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm alive.
Yeah.
I found CBD edibles. I hear they do nothing to you, and I was taking them. Right, like whatever. When I first moved here, they had them in all the stores. I'm like, that's cool. Whatever. Let's try it out. It's supposed to be calming. Right. So like now I like gummy worms and shit like that. Like I love these fucking candies. Right.
Right.
So I just have a thing of edible gummies, but I'm thinking it's just like regular gummies.
Oh,
So I'm at work when I first moved out here in like 2016, and I'm just eating these edibles like candy. And I'm in a meeting, and all of a sudden I'm like, what's wrong with me? Something is wrong with me. I don't know what it is, but these people talking are creeping me out. Right? All Russian.
edibles.
Every one of them are Russian.
Oh, no.
And I'm looking at him like, I definitely didn't do anything. Definitely didn't smoke today. I didn't drink. I'm leaving. Right. And I'm like, I'm going to walk outside first. This is a meeting for like us, our future of the company here. And I just got in my car. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
And how did this happen?
It's
Why am
different.
I so high? And I drove off because they were calling me like, Miguel, where are you, motherfucker? You need to get your ass here. And I'm like, I'm not coming back. I didn't say anything to them. I just like 8 hours later, I reached back out like something happened.
Yeah.
And I had to get the fuck out of there. So like edibles are obviously a lot more powerful than that. But I found out that CBD gummies don't. If you eat too much, something happens to you. I don't know what it is, but I don't like it.
Cannabis can get you like that for sure.
It's not supposed to have like a psychoactive effect, but
Something
it
happens.
still fuck you
All
up.
right. Yeah.
You guys ever try kava?
Yeah. I had some
yeah.
last night. I love that shit, man.
You love it?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
That's like fucking heroin.
Really?
Yeah, it's like
I don't know about heroin. I
it's
don't
like
know what
a-
heroin's like. So
I never did that.
I think of it-
Neither did I.
it's like an alcohol
Or you know what I'm talking? You know what I'm thinking about? Is it that or kratom?
kratom.
It's
I was
same
thinking
shit.
about kratom. Yeah, was that the same
kratom's
thing?
different.
It's kind of think of it like sativa versus indica. Like
Really?
it's like a herbal powder shit that you can put in drinks.
Kava indica?
Yeah, exactly. Kava indica.
What is it like? What's the feeling of it?
Like you take lower tabs.
Very
Oh,
mellow.
wow.
Very
Yeah.
mellow. You're still kind of
Nah,
stimulated.
fuck that. I feel like throwing up. You know
Oh,
what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's
that's
like
for
it feels like I
Both
took
of
way
them-
too many painkillers.
Both of them make you feel like that.
It definitely helps with like my back injury. When I drink those things, I don't feel it. You know what I mean? Like I'm dumb enough to just like truck through life without realizing that I'm hurt. And then like the next day I wake up and I'm like, I do not feel good. I don't feel all right. But the first thing that like you'll notice your pupils are extremely dilated.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's just like a pill.
I heard about
Damn.
kava like many years ago. Actually,
Want to order some right now?
Yeah, there's a Kava by my crib, man. Like
But,
to me, it's like a CBD kind of drink. Like it kind of vibes you out.
So I heard about it, and there was a Groupon for it. There was a kava bar downtown Hollywood, and a
That's
couple of
probably where you was at.
couple of my
Twister Roost,
boys,
shit like that.
yes sir. A couple of my boys were like, "Let's go have some kava." We're like, "Okay, I smoke, I drink, I can handle some kava, whatever that is." We go there, dark place, dim lights. Everybody's
Yeah.
kind of shady in there, like but,
Satanists.
you know, cool crowd probably. But so we go to get the Groupon. I'm sitting there. Oh, they were waiting on me. I got there late. I ended up just having to catch up. So I went there, picked my shit up, got it to go. They were like, yo, we're just going to go home. So I'm like, well, shit, I got all this fucking kava. And the guy's like, well, try it. Start drinking it. Go ahead. And so I started drinking it, chasing it with pineapple. I got so fucking high. And it's such a body high, too.
Yeah.
I went to, it was like Upper Decks or some shit. I ordered like sushi, double turkey burger. I was ordering all kinds of shit. I remember going home, sitting on my bed,
Oh,
sitting
it makes you
Indian
get
style.
munchies too?
Unless I just wanted to eat. I don't know, dog. But I went home and sat Indian style on my bed and ate sushi and a double turkey burger simultaneously. And I was like, I'm fucked up. It hit me out of nowhere. Because just the way it happened, I thought I was going to sit down and chill. I was like, damn, well, if these boys are going home, let me chug this shit.
You know, you'll feel it by the end of the cup.
Blake said he
Whoa.
went to a kava bar and it looked like Starbucks.
That's dope.
Yeah.
They got those now. They got those
Yeah,
now.
right.
They make them in like energy
Kava
drinks.
bucks.
Kava bar? Is that what it's
Yeah,
called?
kava
Yeah,
bars.
yeah.
Look up any kava
shit.
bar. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of
I'll
Hollywood.
tell you
too.
what, I don't get an appetite at all. Like I'm not trying to eat for a fucking full 48 hours after I have that.
Yeah, if I'm on some sort of downer like that, I'm not eating.
Yeah.
Where
So,
And then I regret it.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay, man. I feel like I'm on kava right now.
it's been years
You know
since
what
I've
I
ever had
mean?
anything like that. So
Yeah.
thank you know.
Yeah, like it's probably not your cup of tea.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna
You know
try
what I mean?
it.
Like,
what's your
it
what is
fucks you
your
up.
cup of tea, if anything?
Oh, I just like a little bit of wine here and there, and that's it.
That's it.
Sometimes I'll take a couple hits of weed. That's it.
Smoke a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, where
that's it.
wine
That's
is-
literally
wine-
all I do
wine
now.
wine is nice.
I used to be a lot more hardcore, but those
I'm not
days are
trying to
over.
pull you back.
Yeah, those days
I'm
are
trying to
over.
get you in there.
Bring it back.
It's been over half a decade now since I've done anything like that. So
You have to be a difficult
7.
son of a bitch to be in a relationship with.
oh yeah, I'm sure I
This
was.
guy's got the facts, baby.
I'm sure I was.
Was?
Yeah.
So you don't think you would be now? Are you in
Well,
a
I
relationship
wasn't
now?
in a 10-year long relationship.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Now you're single?
and I look back and I do realize there was a lot of things that I was doing wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Word.
Not that
You
know,
feel like you'd be better now?
who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe.
If you ask me, yeah.
I haven't tried to get into long-term relationships though.
Yeah.
Recently, I'm really focused on like my channel and my studies right now.
Word.
So I haven't like I go out here and there with some friends. I do meet people, but it never goes far, and I think it's because of me. Like I never let it do.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Block it
kind of
off.
controlling it that way, and I'm just being real. Like I have a lot. I'm really trying to get this channel like to where I want it to be.
Smart.
So,
Focus.
and then one day I'll find somebody. You know, I'm not worried about that. You know,
What would it take for you to find someone you think like?
I think this someone would have to be down with what I'm doing, and how much time I spend in my office, because I'm in there all day long. And if that person can understand that and work with that, then this would work.
I feel like for me that's super important now
Yeah.
that I'm recently single. Like I just want a woman that is that's got the same drive.
Same drive.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now.
That's super important. And it's not something that is easy to find.
I'm not driven by looks anymore.
Yeah.
It used to be.
Yeah.
Of course, we all were. That's just normal. That's natural. But now that I've had a long-term thing and I've dealt with many people and done different things, I'm no longer. I'm attracted to people, obviously. Of
course.
But I'm just not like, oh, no, I have to be with this person now because I'm attracted to them.
Yeah.
I just go, oh, that girl's hot, cool, and then I move on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One good night, you know.
Yeah, have a good night, man. And that's how I like to keep
Easy
it.
like Sunday morning.
Everyone's happy. That's it. We stay cool after that.
It's different when you're working on perfecting your craft, and
Yeah.
you know, it's not just.
I can honestly say that's what I'm doing right
It's
now.
not just finding it; you found it, and now it's about honing it in, making it the best it can be, and getting it to as many people as possible. It's something that we talk about. It's like we got fans out there that just haven't heard about us yet.
Yeah.
You know,
Facts.
and it's a testament to the honest work that we do and the stuff that we put out. Now, how do we get it to more people?
You guys passed me already, so.
You know, not a
You know what?
competition.
But I say this though. I told you this. Our audience is very like we have about 430,000 subscribers, right? Our audience wants to watch certain things, right? Like you'll notice an entire group of our audience won't watch this person, but they'll watch this.
They watch
person.
Charleston Heston.
Yeah, oh, they love Charleston.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
He's
most
great.
of our
Dude,
followers.
he's so fun to listen to because
absolutely.
he's you know.
Oh hell nah. Yeah.
I'm one of those people that whenever you have him on, I'm watching.
Yeah.
You have.
I want to listen. I want to listen to that guy. I just want to listen.
But and me saying that, what I'm saying is your audience is it's a very good audience. These people genuinely care about you. They're there to see Neal. You know what I mean? A lot of times they don't give a shit about me. Okay? I read some of these comments and they're like, why don't they just shut up and let the guest speak? It's like, damn, that's actually not the platform. Yeah, that's not the platform we are. We are.
It's a conversation back and forth. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of comments where they refer to you by name, not just as the channel.
Yeah.
Which actually says something. They're not just, you know, it's different. They don't just assign your identity to your channel. They know you, Neal.
Yeah.
The person, the guy.
And there's some channels you can see how long they've been subscribed for. And I'll see people subscribe for 3 years. My channel's only 3.5 years.
Fire.
And I'll never leave a good comment.
You could see that?
It's a day
Yeah,
one.
some people. So if they have their subscribers publicly, then you'll be able to see it. So you'll see them once in a while.
That's tight.
You'll see like this. There'll be like a little notification next to their name, and you can put your highlight over it, and it'll say, "Subscribe for 3 years. Subscribe for 1 year."
Oh, that's fire. I do see these different logos and icons. I learned a lot about YouTube through him.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff that I've taught
so
all
dope.
of us was from him. Like
Yeah.
he was like really religious about sending me these messages, right?
Yeah.
Like and saying, hey, you need to do this, and you need to get this done, and you need to get that done. And did you apply for the plaque yet? Because they're not going to send you the plaque if you don't apply for the plaque.
Mark,
You know? Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
I've been watching you, man, and I've been wanting to see you grow because we started at the same spot.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Then he was like, you got to be making money off it. How much money are you making off this?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you something. He showed me the money he was making
I
off
showed
of
him a
it.
screenshot of
Yeah,
my
and I'm
month.
just like, Nova.
Yeah.
I'm going to fly you out here. We need to make money off it. And that's where I actually hired Nova, which has been a pivotal moment in our growth because that's when we started getting the clips out.
Yeah, shout out to
You know
Nova.
what I
Man.
mean?
Shout out to Nova.
Yeah, shout out to Nova Vision.
Shout out to Neal.
And then we got Brad.
Neal
We got
Vision.
the timestamps done through Brad and bringing him.
Yeah,
in.
you're killing it now.
Yeah, so
like you're doing everything right. So like I have nothing else to add to what you're doing right now.
Thank you.
And just keep making videos, keep getting good guests. Sky's the limit
and let's keep doing this.
for sure.
Let's do this a couple times. So,
A couple times a year, let's do this.
yeah,
I'm down.
we need to do this once a month.
I'm down.
We'll go to you. You can come
We're
to
in the
us.
same state. Yeah, we can do it. I
Let's get
gotta
it.
get you on Danny Jones too.
Yeah.
So Danny Jones is a good friend. He's right on the other side of the state right now. So
Tampa, right?
Tampa.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Has anybody reached out to like your platform, like History Channel, Discovery, anything?
I actually did get some offer. I forgot what the name of the app
magazines
was. There was an
like-
app. There's an app. I can't remember what it's called.
M3S3. Shout out Fred.
But there was,
my boy.
yeah, there was somebody who did offer something to me, and I never got back to him yet. It was recently, actually. And I forgot the name of the app, but there was some sort of app where I can move my channel to that app.
Okay.
So I have to ask them what they wanted, what the circumstances are, and see what they say. This was recently, so
Yeah, I got reached out. Like again, for me, I'm one of the people like these emails are scams.
no, but
like,
you're big enough that they're gonna come after you.
Yeah. And so I try to stay away from it most. Maybe it's a curse, you know what I mean? But I think that the reason why we've grown the way we have is because I've kept as much distance between us and those predators as I can, because some people, they try to like,
there's
you,
a lot
we
of
don't want you.
scammers.
You can't be talking about this, or you can't be doing this, or you can't. We don't want you. We don't. You know, we want you here, but if we'll pay you way better, but you can't do this.
I get people who offer
offer
me certain amount of money, like we'll give you $100,000, but then we want 50% of your revenue for the next 5 years. Right.
Like, what the fuck?
That's a whole ripoff
you
right
think
there.
I am.
Yeah. So, but I get those offers. I'm sure you got those before.
Yeah.
That's predatory.
Yeah.
Because in 5 years, half of your revenue is going to be 10 times that.
Yeah. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense at all. Like we got a huge offer.
Yeah.
And I was just like, as soon as so shout out to D-Jack. But as soon as D-Jack told me about the numbers they were talking about, and he said, you know, one of the things he said was, you know, the numbers will be big enough to where you really can't even say no to. And I said it before he even told me any offers. I'm like, that's going to be tough, because I'm not really that type of guy. You know what I mean? Because I'm the type of person, when the number's that big, I'm immediately thinking there's some bullshit across.
Right.
And I might not even entertain the conversation.
Like, what's
You
this?
know what I
What's
mean?
the
Yeah.
small?
If you think I'm
font.
worth 100 million,
Right.
then
what do you stand
then
to
what
make?
am I actually worth?
Right.
You know,
or
so-
what's the small font going to say that I can't see that you're not going to let me read?
Yeah, and
There's always something.
Like, so if you could, I'd encourage everybody to be like this. Like, if somebody thinks, hey, I could give this guy 100 million, that means that they think they can make money off you.
Right.
So you're probably better off figuring out how you can get to that 100 million quicker than they can give it to you.
That's how you got to
know
think
what I
about
mean?
it.
And so once you live that way, you start making more and more and more money. And I'm somebody who's had the luxury of having a business outside of podcasting and
Right.
getting into podcasting because I've had money. But how do you get all these guests? Well, I tell them, hey, we need to have you on the show. But yeah, this person offered me this. You know what? Come here. I'll offer you this. You know what I mean? Yo, Doug, come through to the Danza Project. You know what I mean? I got you. You know what I mean? It's those things when we want to be first with the conversation. We'll press. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make them feel a little bit of pressure. I'm like, well, you know, you should come here, and here's why. Plus, I'll give you this. You know what I mean?
What is that right there? That's some sort of award?
Podcast of the year for Buffalo.
I remember seeing that on your Facebook, and I was like, damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I actually flew out there for it. Recently spoke about it on a podcast. But
Stopey wants
That's
to go
big
play
stuff, man.
just getting the
No,
accolades
but
is pretty cool.
you're getting out there now, and people are noticing it.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to watch that, dude. It really is.
It is pretty cool. We were at the San Francisco airport. We get out of the car, and
That's what they had it at?
no, we went there to go see the Russell
yeah.
and do an interview with him,
Fire.
which was amazing. And we get out of Reno, and this guy is just staring at me to the point where I'm like,
A weird smile.
what? Yeah, it wasn't even like a smile. It was just like, I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. He's not saying a word. So I'm like, you good? Like what? Like he's the guy that's collecting the rental,
Right.
or getting the information out of there. And I'm like, what do?
Who was that?
Now you see?
I heard it.
Yeah. I think it's your stomach. No. But so I'm like, this is tripping me out.
It was like a whistle.
Yeah, it's like,
Was it my nose?
Somebody breathing.
It might have been. I might have got too close.
whatever it was, trippy. It's
It might have
tripping me
been.
out. That's
heard it,
that.
though. Heard it
Yeah,
out
okay. So
here.
now we all heard it. Now we all know that there's Satan.
All right, no
Right.
more
we
kava.
summoned
boys.
him.
Right.
Lay off the kava.
So no, this kid's looking at me and he's like, I'm like, what? Do you need anything else from me? And he's like, you're Danza. You're Danza, right? And I was like, oh, yeah. He said, you do YouTube. You're Danza. And then it's like, oh, there's Kato. Like, it's like, oh, whoa, it's going down.
Everybody's
and then
here.
we're on the plane. The same thing happens to us. And it's been happening to me a lot. And
It
it's
happened
like,
to me in Israel. I was
fire.
in Jerusalem.
That's perfect for you.
Yeah, I was in Jerusalem, walking down where the city of David is at nighttime. There-
Beautiful,
Somebody
by the
walks
way.
up and goes, "Gnostic Informant, yo. They
No
walked up,
way,
yeah,
bro.
Took a picture with them and everything.
That's amazing. City of David is beautiful.
Yeah, it was. I loved it.
I definitely have.
That was a surprise to be all the way on the other side of the world and someone knows who you are.
I got some pretty cool pictures in there with my yarmulke.
Me too. I walked through the did you go through the tunnel where the water is?
No,
It's called the Hezekiah Tunnel.
No,
You have to walk through water. Like you're like this deep in
Oh, no,
water.
I didn't.
Yeah, I did it. It was like a mile walk.
That's
in
pretty
darkness.
cool.
You have to have a light and
shit.
everything. It was crazy.
What's
But
that
it was
about?
cool. It was they built it in like the 7th century, 6th century BCE. They dug a tunnel from Jerusalem to like another part of the city so they can like sneak out and like smuggle things in because they were like being surrounded by the Assyrians. So this tunnel's still there, but it's filled up. It's half flooded. So you got to walk through it knee deep in water.
Kind of cool.
But I have a whole video on my channel of me walking through there.
That's fire.
That's super
Knowing how many people have come before and
Right.
yeah.
There's like Egyptian writing on the wall and stuff in there.
That's
It's
freaky.
nuts, dude.
Has anybody ever tried to hit you up for like a debate like recent Graham Hancock and the other dude were on Joe's
Yeah.
platform?
I've debated some people on certain things. I debated this one big YouTuber. His name's What If Alt Hiss. And he does a channel where he does like, what if this happened in history and we're all wrong? It's like alternative history. And him and I debated the Dark Ages. So he was like, the Dark Ages was actually really good. And I was like, no, the Dark Ages was really dark.
Pretty dark.
Yeah, so we debated. It was a cool debate. It was a cool debate.
It's a good it's a good exercise.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
You get to test out your knowledge, you know what I mean?
What was he saying? Like
maybe
the
learn
B-body plays never happened?
He said, I agree with everything you said. He goes,
Push your
but,
mic a little closer.
yeah, he goes, I actually agree with everything you said. Because I started bringing up like, well, we lost our knowledge of Aristotle. We lost our knowledge of Galen, the medical tax. We lost all these, like, things started to go backwards for a little bit. He goes, I agree with what you're saying, but bone structures of buried remains of people show that they actually had better diets. I was like,
What?
what? He was arguing that the archaeology proves that the people who were buried during those times actually ate
thriving?
better. Yeah, it was an interesting angle. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think about that, but I just didn't know how to correct him or
Like-
argue with him. I just go, okay.
But did they have like a shorter lifespan? And
He was trying to say they lived longer or something because of that. He said their teeth were better, their dentures were better. He was like making all these crazy arguments. It was like really left field stuff.
it just sounds like they were dying faster.
Yeah. and I just go, listen, man, I don't know I don't even know what the people before that were like. I don't even know what their dentures were like. So I can't even tell you if you're right or wrong. He was like, okay. That was it.
Mushroom farmers, we appreciate you, and everybody that tuned in, we appreciate you greatly. Again,
Yay.
This is something that Neal and I have been working on for a very long time. We finally made it happen, and now that we made it happen, I'm going to make sure that he is out here at least once every other month to have some podcasts so we could talk to the people, because this is something that our platform is growing, and you know we've done all these celebrity guests and things of that nature. Now the conversation is changing a little bit, as I promised. And Neal, I appreciate you greatly for coming through here. We got so much more to talk about, so it's we got to do it now. We got to give this to the people.
Hey,
This has been fun, man. I enjoy this. This is nothing to me. I could do this whenever you want.
Yeah,
Very
I
cool.
appreciate it. Danza Project. This is the off season. We'll see you soon. Peace.
peace. Gnostic Informant.